At a high-level investment forum, Ndindi Nyoro challenged Kenyans abroad to rethink everything, saying the UK is now Kenya's second largest source of remittances, but most of that money is going into consumption, not wealth creation. His message was, stop sending money home to be spent, start building assets. From undervalued NSE stocks like banking and energy firms to private equity, real estate, and diaspora-focused businesses, Nyoro laid out a clear path to financial growth. The forum also showcased real opportunities from housing projects to security firms, all targeting diaspora investors ready to move from remittance to ownership. And the biggest message, this is not charity, this is strategy. It's diaspora capitalism turning remittances into real assets, UK-born Gen Z into strategic investors, Kenya into your portfolio's next big win. Kenya is not just a home, it's your next investment frontier. The choices made today will define your economic future. Like and comment your biggest takeaway, share with someone who needs this age, and subscribe for more no fluff investing breakdowns.
Let's give him a hand clap, please. We want a vibrant house. As much as we want to discuss a lot of economic issues, a lot of economic empowerment, we also want a Kenyan spirit in here. So let me first start by asking, what is it you love about Kenya? What do you love about Kenya?
Najifunia kuwa Mkenya sababu Kenya ni nchi yangu.
Thank you very much. Najivunia kuwa Mkenya, Kenya ni nchi yangu. Give me a hand clap, please. What would you like to say? What do you love about Kenya?
Kenya is my country. Kenya is where I was born. Kenya is everything. At the end of the day, anything I get from here, I have to invest in Kenya.
Fantastic investment in Kenya. I can see wonderful ladies here. Talk to us. What do you love about Kenya?
Being born and bred in Kenya, grew up there. I love Kenya. Is my country. I have a small farm in Kenya, and I keep going back. I was there 2 weeks ago, and this is a good opportunity to meet other investors and see the way forward. I love the heat. I love Kenya.
Asante. Now, what I wanted to show you is that the diaspora is very passionate about Kenya. And the one thing that has never died is our spirit for wanting to do what's best for Kenya, even when we are away from Kenya. And today, we have a few people who are going to be speaking to us because our guest of honor, we want to give you more time today. We want to hear from you. And it's nice for us to have some of our leaders introduce themselves. So I'm going to be starting by the one and only Councillor Njore. This, do you know, I am so happy calling him that because for the number of years we have met and talked and planned, you have always been plotting for this space. Now you're the councillor. And I'm saying to you, we are so humbled because we know your leadership there will lead the leadership in Kenya. So talk to us today. You know the event today, what we are on about, economic empowerment, growing Kenya beautifully. With the leadership, of course, we can see, you know, we use the benchmark. The benchmark we are working with today is Kiharu. So tell us, how are you feeling today? And give us a little speech.
Thank you very much, and I'm humbled to be here today as your councillor. Habari zenyu wa Kenya wenzangu, dignitaries that are here, and our very able guest of honor today, Honorable Ndindi Nyoro. It's a great honor to be sitting under your council today and on the same table with you today. Today I want to talk to you about skill and not finance remittance. As you've heard, my name is Njoro Kimani. I've been in this country now 24 years. And of those years, I've done quite a fair few things until I studied some political education in 2010. And I decided to venture into politics. I thought maybe I would do the politics in Kenya. But then I figured that the politics in Kenya was a bit of a rough ride, having not been there for over 10 years of my life. So I ventured out here. And like the Israelites in the wilderness, I stopped saying that I'm better off back where I came from. And I started focusing on the land where I was and where I was going. And that's what I want to talk about today. I invested in myself, knowing full well that I had been drained out of Kenya as part of the brain drain conversation. We talk about brain drain a lot. At the moment, we're saying that maybe about 4,000 doctors leave Kenya every year to go to the West. We're talking about 64% of health workers leaving the country to go and seek better pastures out there. But what I want to talk to you about today is that when you do leave Kenya, come here and invest in yourself, because you didn't leave to just come and give. You came to also build yourself. Learn to build yourself with a focus of what you can give back to your home country. It doesn't have to be you going back there in person, because some of us come here when we're young and we start families here. It's very challenging to just decide that I'm going to pick up my family and go back, because you don't really know where to start and you don't want to destabilize the children. So you choose to stay here for a long time, even with the hope that one day you're going to go back. And you end up living here for 40 years of your life, because your children go through education, they finish, they start working, they get married, they start families. Before you know it, the chances of going back, your hands are full, your mind is full, the opportunities that you've found here, you've exploited, you've taken advantage, and this becomes home while you're still saying, I will go back. But think about this for a moment. All the things that you've learned and invested in yourself, if you only used them here to impact the communities here, and then use that as a mirror and a blueprint to then go back and impact the people back home. And I'll tell you where the trick is. You cannot walk away from this country and go back to Kenya and tell them that I will impact you as a community. I will do all these great things for you. And yet where you've lived for 40 years, the only thing you've invested in is your house and your local neighborhood. And yet you want to go back and preach the gospel that I'm going to come here and I'm going to change all of you people in the community. You don't have a blueprint to work with, because you did not invest with a community in mind. We send a lot of money. Great. That works very well. And everyone is focusing on that. I started doing my business back in 2007, and I was selling little bits of airtime in the car parking lot. And then I brought M-Pesa to this country. By the way, for those who don't know, the first transaction that was ever done for M-Pesa in the UK here to send money to Kenya was done by me. The company that was on the other side sending the money, and they showed it, was my company, and it was me that was on the other side of the phone. So we've sent money. I know what it means to send money. I have facilitated sending money. But we've got to do more than just money. We've got to be known for more than just money. Skill today is what I want to emphasize on. I know a lot of people will talk about finances. They'll talk about investment and bonds and treasuries and all that good stuff. And that's great. But we have a lot that we can send back. Be an example. Set the stage here and then rinse that and repeat it back home. That's my message for you today. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. That is Councillor Njoro Kimani. And he's been in business for such a long time, but now being in politics. In the United Kingdom, we want that to influence what we're doing in Kenya. And we're so blessed because it's not the only one. There are those ones who could not make it today. We have Councillor Elizabeth has given her apologies. She was going to be here, but things happened. She couldn't make it. And there's a lot of other people who are saying this was so organized in such a fast way. But tell you what, economic empowerment does not wait for anybody. When we see an opportunity, we take it, we grab it. Because having a brain like we're having here today, We're talking about economic empowerment in Kenya. And for the last few weeks, we've seen what's been happening on social media. Kiharu has really risen up because this January, there was a lot of students. There's a lot of parents that are celebrating because we can see they're not crying. But a lot of other parents were saying, why can't we have it like Kiharu? So a lot of us don't just come from Murang'a, we come from different areas, but if there's a way we can harvest those brain and change Kenya together, we are so much willing to do that. And we're having a few community leaders here, and I'm going to ask you not to stand at the front, but just to say the topic for today is economic empowerment. How do we grow Kenya? So, Jane, what is your thought? You have been a woman in business for many years.
Thank you, Janet. You've caught me by surprise there, but thank you very much. What do you want to see for Kenya? Empowerment, like you said, transfer of what we've learned from here to Kenya. That is sometimes a bit difficult because whenever we try to do that, some of us have tried just to buy anything for Kenya, but the red tape is too much, and I'm here to listen, to understand whether it's different now, because all of us, personally, my heart is in Kenya. I love Kenya for the sense of humor. I love Kenya because I've traveled wide, and wherever recently in a conference in central London, where there were only 2 of us Africans, somebody from Sydney said they're recruiting IT people only from South Africa and Kenya. And I couldn't have been more proud of being a Kenyan. But I've always said the leadership does fail us. And seeing the likes of Honorable Ndindi Nyoro, I'm hoping we are entering a new era where we can invest without fear, without red tape, and we are welcome, not just for money, but for what we bring from here. Thank you. That's the Kenya I want to see.
Asanteni sana, and you can see we have very many Kenyans who are ready, and I will give opportunities later on when we have time to ask questions, to bring a debate to the table. I wanted to make sure that you understand this is a platform today, a forum that we want to see more interactions. As well, when we receive, when we hear the guest of honor and the speech, we would like to have a little better interaction. Now, this event was, as we said, was arranged very quickly. We didn't have time, 2 days, and many of you came through. We have a few sponsors who came through because it was necessary for us as community leaders to put ourselves together and say, who can put something across? So I'll be asking the representative for Cornerstone. Yeah, representative for Cornerstone. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Again, this was a very sudden, but I hope with the few minutes I have, I can give you a broad overview of Cornerstone Investments. Cornerstone Investments is the latest, best thing that you've never heard of, because we have not yet launched. However, this is a very good platform to explain exactly what we are and what we hope to do. I'll be reading my notes off the phone, so forgive me if I'm not looking directly at you all the time. My name is Joguna. I am the CEO and founding partner. Shege here is one of my co-founders, and there's a few other gentlemen who are not in today. Cornerstone Movements, not investments, sorry. Cornerstone Movements was created with one clear purpose: to strengthen awareness and long-term security within the UK Kenyan diaspora community. What do I mean? This is who we are. Most of us work extremely hard. A lot of us have been here for, like me, 30 years or more. We've supported our families, we've built communities, we've built ourselves, we've invested, we've saved, we've bought plots, we've bought houses, and often, and especially lately, we're beginning to find that that sort of investment is not working for us. So what we've decided is to help with the saving, the investments, and look at what we often do without access to practical, culturally relevant financial education. And we've brought Cornerstone investments to close that gap. What do I mean here? We are currently developing a series of financial literacy and empowerment programs designed specifically for the diaspora. These programs will be inclusive and multi-generational, from school-age children, young professionals, families, retirees, like I'm heading for retirement. So, for those who are with me. And this is because financial understanding should start early, not late. I was a banker for 20 years. I've been in business for another 20. And I can tell you that financial literacy does not necessarily come automatically just because I worked in finance. So we have developed a program that will educate, inform, and bridge that gap. Basically, it's about how money works. These are valuable parts, but they're not the only parts. Our mission is not to replace the traditional investment. We want individuals and families to understand alternative investment options, retirement planning approaches, risk awareness, diversification, and long-term wealth sustainability. How will we deliver the value? Cornerstone movements will collaborate with credible industry partners and professionals to provide educational workshops, community seminars, youth-focused financial awareness sessions, practical tools and guidance, not just theory. The emphasis is empowerment. Knowledge first, decisions second. We are not a bank. We're not here to sell products. We're here to educate, inform, and open perspectives. So, Cornerstone Investments is coming soon. We will be launching soon, and we invite you to follow our journey and be part of a movement focused on building stronger financial foundations for our community and for the next generation. Just to sum up, because I was reading there, it might have looked a bit awkward. Cornerstone Movements will be a community-based venture. We're not selling anything. We're just going to bring people together, bring our vast business knowledge, many years, our experience. And if you remember, once upon a time, there's a Kenyan politician who said, experience is a collection of mistakes. So all the mistakes that we have made along the way will become very useful in this venture. So thank you very much. Just about.
Give it up for Cornerstone Investment. And as you've heard, he's very intentional with the business he's putting on the table. Thank you very much. The next sponsor will be Diaspora Insurance. We've seen Diaspora Insurance in a lot of Kenyan events because when companies like Diaspora Insurance comes here, they bring solution to us. As Diaspora, there's a lot of issues that are coming to us, especially when we're becoming older. How do we relocate? What is our insurance plans? And it's always nice to have Diaspora Insurance. You've got your 2 minutes.
Thank you so much. Good evening, everyone. My name is Monica Kamau, and I'm representing Diaspora Insurance tonight. And Diaspora Insurance, we are based in Birmingham. That's our headquarters are. And we've been there for the last 13, 14 years, serving the communities, not only Kenyans, but we do cover more than 20 countries in Africa and counting. So why Diaspora Insurance? First of all, we always say peace of mind guaranteed. And how do we do that? So if anything, first of all, let's start from where we come from. I think, I believe we are all Kenyans, isn't it? We are brought up with something called Harambe, isn't it? So Harambe. But, and this will, I normally say that we don't get away from what we do or what we know. But now we need to set a pace for ourselves, for our children, and also because if anything happened to us, and a lot is happening, what's happening for the last year and even now. So if we have our insurance, you know you are guaranteed, and even what you're covering monthly, you'll be surprised, maybe it's 20 pounds, which you also cover our parents back home. Because sometimes people tell me, Monica, I have insurance. Don't worry, you can cover your insurance. Then the benefits for that is because we cover worldwide coverage. It's not only in UK. So anywhere you be in America, in Europe, you are covered. The other thing is we do immediate cash payout. So there's nothing to wait about. Within 24 hours, the money is with the person who you put in the form, then they can receive. So, and also it's a flexible, we have flexible cash covers. So it depends on what you take. We're going to talk more about it. You can cover yourself, your siblings, and extended families. So then another thing is, so the most important thing here, your money is safe. Do you know how it's safe? Because we are authorized and registered by FCA. We all know what that means, yeah? So you are guaranteed, your money is safe anywhere in the world. And I always say that, check us out before you commit to anything. But again, I'm going to repeat, because so many WhatsApp groups, what's going on? They are good. But if we can ease ourselves and also leave this to our children to understand why we are doing this, because some of them, they don't even understand. So if we cover ourselves, we have a peace of mind guaranteed. Can we say Diaspora insurance? Peace of mind guaranteed. I'll be at the back. See you later.
Thank you very much. That is good to know because we know Diaspora Insurance has been here for us. We keep talking about it. Now, the next person to talk here is actually someone who inspires me personally because I know her for many years. Even when she started doing her investment journey, I was there. Lucy Kiharu, Champions Homes. Welcome.
Thank you. Good evening, everybody. Just all protocols observed. Honorable Ndindi Nyoro, thank you so much even for making this possible because I believe it's because he's here that we are here. So thank you so much for making this possible. And I believe that I'm sure we've locked out a lot of people tonight because we thought people booked and they haven't come yet. But I'm sure those who are watching online will get also a taster of what is happening. So as I've been introduced, my name's Lucy Kiharu, Champion Homes. I'm the CEO of Champion Homes Kenya. I've lived here in Diaspora for maybe some of you I've not met, but some of you have my numbers on their phone saved as Lusawa M-Pesa. Because as our councillor just said, that was my business as well. I did money remittances for many years because of the business that I was doing. And having seen that, sometimes we send us cash all the time, but then what does it do? Sometimes we've invested in places whereby we've not had delivery. And I decided in like 3 years ago, I'm about maybe having been, I don't want to use the word conned, but having not had delivery of what I invested in, I decided to change that narrative. And with my experience in UK, having done flips in properties, flipping, do it up, sell it one at a time, I decided to go and do it differently in Kenya and did my first project in 2022 with the service delivery of 12 months, which was a Machinate project, which thankfully we've sold out. And that was family homes. Due to the demand, we've gone back and launched 2 projects, which is Champion Homes, the Liberty by Champion Homes in Ongatarungai in Rimpa, and the Vantage by Champion Homes in Lower Kabete. So those 2 projects, we sold a finished product with our first project. The second project as well, we're doing a finished product, so not an off-plan. we want to finish, and when you come in, we just give you your key and you move in. Out of that, we've had people who have said, I can't afford to pay it right now as a full product. I want to pay gradual. And that is why we have our flagship project, The Vantage, which is in Lower Kabete, on Lower Kabete Road. I think most of you who have been to Kenya recently have seen the roads that we have. And we are only 14 minutes from Sarit Center, if you use the Lower Kabete Road. Some of you who are here, I can see quite a few people who have visited, who have been on our project. We are probably about 40% done on that project. And what I want to say is that we've not used the investors' money to do so, but we've used our capital because we want to deliver. We want to make sure that when you've invested, your money is in an escrow account, and we'll have that money released to us when you have your key ready. We aim to finish in end of June, so by 1st of July, when you're going for your summer holiday, you should have a home. Most of us have lived in Airbnbs, but we are enriching others. I know we can't all be landlords, but you know what? You've lived in diaspora for too long to still go home and become a tenant. And I don't say that because it's something I want to push you out of your comfort zone, but yes, I do. I want you to get out of your comfort zone. To say that you just want to go and live somewhere like Runda for a night or two, and then come back here and live in your council flat, that's not right. I'm an advocate of home ownership, and I know that we cannot live in diaspora and still remain the same, or go back there and still be nowhere. Again, I'm one advocate of saying we don't want to build those big mansions that you are waiting to save your 100 million so that you can do your home. Let me tell you with some little maths, you can build the 100 million home that the security guards and the caretakers will live in while you're here, and you don't enjoy it. Meanwhile, you can get maybe some 8 million apartments like the ones we have at Vantage, take a few there, Kitsuru, get a few. And out of those, if you spend the same 100 million, you could have 10 apartments that will give you 2 million, and you go and live in a 500,000 home in Runda or Muthaiga. Make sense? So let's not make it that we want to build a big home when I save up. When I go back home, I'll live in it. But start with the first home as an investment. I'm a big advocate. It's home ownership, but let's make it work for us. And that is why Vantage at Champions is one of those places you need to invest in. I'm one of you, I've lived here for over 25 years, and having lived here, I know how hard it is for us to get our money. We've partnered with banks, and they can offer you mortgages. The circles, especially those which are in diaspora, has partnered with Stoke Diaspora. We've partnered with a few in Kenya, and any high street bank. For a bank to partner with us, it means they can trust what we are doing because they do not want to risk their money if we cannot deliver. So I say that the governments are, when they are given loans, they are governed by maybe 4 pillars. I could be wrong, Mheshimiwa, but if I'm wrong, you will correct me. And they are governed by good governance, accountability, transparency, anti-corruption, or integrity. And we work by that in Champion Homes. And that is why when you invest in us, you know that we'll be transparent, we'll be accountable, and we'll deliver to what we have said. So see me after this. I'm Lucy Kiharu. Check me out on social media. You can reach me out if you don't have my number. Or you can also check us at Champion Homes. And I live around here. I live in Romford. And I also live in Kenya. So if I'm not here, I'll be in Kenya. So God bless you, and I hope to hear more from you. Thank you.
Wow, that is Lucy Kiharu, and she does not bring short stories and more. She delivers. Champion Homes delivers, and that's what we want to see. A lot of us in the diaspora have talked about how much we've lost our money, we've trusted people, they did not deliver. And sometimes doing our due diligence is just close to home. Do a due diligence with those who are around you, that you know where to find them, and because we work so hard for our money. But like she said, we have to be homeowners. In the UK and back home, The climate can change wherever you are. As you can see, globally, the climate is changing. And we know that home is best, and that is in Kenya, and that is where our heart is. The next, I'm going to be calling BRIC Securities, Simon Morashe, for a short 2 minutes.
Good evening, all. My name is, as you've heard, Simon Morashe. Mheshimiwa, good evening. I had written something, but because we've taken so much of our Mheshimiwa's time, I will be very brief. It is an honor to welcome you here today. What is not a political gathering, but a milestone of conversation, one rooted in reflection, responsibility, and the future of our beloved Kenya. Many of us here have walked the diaspora journey since the mid-1990s. A long way, we have been fortunate to encounter leadership across eras. Daniel Arap Moi, Mwai Kibaki, Uhuru Kenyatta, and now under the leadership of William Ruto. These transitions have shaped us, not only in Kenya, but also we here in the diaspora understand the governance and the institutions and national of our national destiny. Tonight, we are honored to host a leader who represents a generational bridge, someone who is grounded in policy, economics, and long-term thinking. Honorable Ndindi Nyoro, member of the Parliament Parliament in Kiharu. Honorable Ndindi Nyoro reflects a preparation and purpose, trained in economics and finance, recognized in the work in public finance and economic planning. He belongs in a generation of leaders asking difficult questions about productivity, accountability, value creation. In many of the lectures, he has consistently reminded that Africa is our business, not a slogan, but a call for ownership, discipline, and responsibility. I will end there. It's a long one. But I wanted to say this: accountability, discipline, and being there for the people of our people. For me, as BRIC Security, representing a security company, as I've said and reflected here, we came in the 1995s. I can see many of you here. How many of you? So many. How many of you just the other day? Our lady here, Beulah, who is the reason why we are here, is an honor because she's managed to bring us together. She's managed to bridge that gap. And it's a huge honor because it's her evening. So BRIC Security 2021 established, for me, goes back many years of doing security in this country. Now we're providing security. We're employing more than 100 of our young people in Kenya. We are also doing other things. We have the Shams Camp, which I talk about a lot, a new concept from the ground where it is due to this country, where we borrow the ideas and we take them back. That is what I'm here about. For those of you who have, I think Lucy mentioned, some of our guards are staying in your homes. Why don't you give me a reason for you to come and talk to me, because I'll be here when you have an issue with your property. When you have challenges with your property, you can come to me. Your face, on your face, build on transparency, accountability, and resilience. Thank you all. Have a very good evening.
That is Simon Morashe. Now, before we call our guest of honors, and I would like to say we're in West London. And West London, we do have leaders, Kenyan leaders in West London. So if you're sitting down and you're a leader in West London, come say hello to our people. Unajijua, you're a leader in West London. Where are you? I think I can see one at the back sitting there. Isaac, come say hello because we're in your yard.
Hi everyone. Hey, karibuni, karibuni. I can see my people. In this region, we call it Heathrow area. And we are many, Windsor, pastor, that's our pastor, from Slough, and different people from different areas. I would say, karibu. Thank you, Morashe. Good presentation. Lucy, my friend. Hey, our councillor. That's the new councillor from Slough. Ni watu wetu hao wote. Karibuni. Feel, you know what? We have been saying this area because this is where everyone came from, Heathrow. This is where now it's gonna be hub of every event that you want. So thank you very much, Janet. It's a very good day, but I would like to say thank you and feel home. Asante sana. Are you gonna say something, or anyone from my area? There is another leader from my area. Shilo is a business lady. Let her welcome people. Thank you, Karibu.
Thank you, Isaac, and good evening, everyone. Like Isaac said, I'm also a community leader in the Slough Berkshire area. I work alongside Isaac and other team members. In fact, the guy right here, our new councillor, is also a community leader with me, Isaac, and a few others. Mr. Honorable Ndindi Nyoro, you're very much welcomed to Slough next time. In fact, me and Simon, we were organizing for you to be in Slough until Beulah actually took over. So, karibu tu sana sana. And it's a pleasure to be here with you this evening. Karibuni.
Thank you very much. And the treasurer, say hello.
Good evening, everyone. My name is James Gakuo. I've lived in West London since Morashia time. So we've been here long enough. And I want to introduce to you a new group that is coming up. In the whole of West London, we've never had a Kenyan community group coming together to celebrate our culture and our lives. So we are going to very soon to invite you to come, and we are going to have a Kenya community in West London coming together to celebrate ourselves. So give us a clap offering, because we have taken a lot of energy, a lot of time, a lot of consultation to come up with that. So we are the original West London. So Slough, we welcome you to West London. So Mheshimiwa, we are the gate. West London is the gate to the rest of England. So watch out for this space. God bless you. When you see our flyer, please, we welcome you. We'll have it very, very well organized. And we'll have everything that you need that comes from Kenya. God bless you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Akro. Now, I've just been told to say hello by Moranga chairman in the United Kingdom, Mr. Mwangi, and from Reading, Mr. Ken. They're all saying they would have wanted to be here today. So the community is already inspired out there. They are watching online, and they are saying they want to hear from all of us. As from me, I would like to say, like I said earlier, I'm Janet Wainaina. I'm the founder of Face of Kenya International. Face of Kenya, UK, US, Germany, France. We work with a lot of Kenyans who want to see Kenya do well. In Kenya, we do a lot in education, because I come from an education background. I was educated in Kenya, but I came to the United Kingdom and became a STEM teacher, a science teacher. And what I see in schools in the United Kingdom inspires me to see that in Kenya. So when I've been watching what you're doing in Kenya, I was saying, hiya, it can actually happen. Do you agree with me? It just requires a mindset that says, my people comes first. And the leadership I see from you is not word of mouth. I see action. Actions are the ground. And for us in the diaspora, that's the kind of leadership we want to see. So we are not here on a political forum. We are here on an economic forum. But it's good to talk about what we've seen that made us leave our homes, which is ours from here, to come and have this audience with you. So as somebody who has been in the community for so many years, I've done broadcasting in the United Kingdom for so many years, we've inspired so many people. Let us just say, we need to start changing the mindset of ourselves and what we are consuming from Kenya, so as we can be able to change the mindset of our people. Education has what brought most of us here in the United Kingdom. Education is what brought our great-grandfathers or our fathers, people who've done well in Kenya over years. It's because of education. So we do really admire the fact that you've taken that route to bring Kiharu, and we are hoping that we've seen in Kenya you're even being called other places to actually go. So Mheshimiwa, well done for that. And then you've done a lot about policy making in Kenya. And we look at what debate you've been putting out there on policy making. And we are saying we want leaders who are informing us in the diaspora, but more so who are informing their constituents about what is needed. Because we've seen leaders who never turn up in their constituents until, like now, they are running around because it's 1 year to the elections. But being part of your constituent or being an MP there means you're seen there. And even as in the diaspora is the same thing. When you say you want to go and vie in Kenya to be a leader, be available, be intentional, and that is why we are loving this forum today. And I want to thank you, Beulah. Gen Z. Gen Z can do when they want to do. Sindio? Beulah doesn't keep quiet when things are going wrong. She's one who says, Janet, I'm going to be at the forefront and I'm going to be speaking. And she speaks. She's the founder of Beulah Modoni Foundation. So even though she's in the United Kingdom, empowering herself, educating herself, she has her heart for Murang'a. She's going to be one of us in the future talking about women rep in Murang'a. We are praying that that happens very soon. Give it up for her. And we are hoping that will happen. But I love to see young people really reaching out for the sky, and this girl is really not taking no for an answer. So Beulah, thank you so much for planning this forum. Thank you very much for bringing Mheshimiwa Ndindi Nyoro to us, but we'd like to hear from you first. The dream that brought you here to us today, give us a little bit of a feed. Give it up for Beulah.
Hello, everyone. Ladies and gentlemen, guests, fellow Kenyans in the diaspora, and our vibrant African family, karibuni sana. My name is Beulah Modoni. Some call me Beulah Modoni. In Murang'a, and I know Mheshimiwa Ndindi Nyoro knows that. Tunasema mama ni Gen Z na tunasema tuko set. Na tukisema tuko set, si kusema tuko set. Set means serving, empowering, and transforming. Set. Ndio maana tunasema tuko set. Si tuko set. 2027 huko Murang'a County nasimama ama nawania kiti cha women representative. So I will have his blessings as well, and I'm watching your foods. I'm the founder of Beulah Modoni Foundation. This one I know everyone has it, so you can read about it. And I'm a proud daughter of Murang'a County and now calling UK home at the moment. And a girl on a mission to serve as the woman representative of Murang'a County in the year 2027, if God will help us. I stand before you with a heart full of gratitude to God Almighty. Today, we gather not just as individuals, but as a covenant community united by faith, vision, and the spirit of Africa. First of all, I want to welcome the guest of honor, Honorable Ndindi Nyoro, economist, extraordinary, and the best performing member of parliament. And now he is serving his second term representing Kiharu constituency in Murang'a County with unmatched dedication. Honorable Ndindi Nyoro, your tireless efforts in championing economic policies that lift our people from poverty to prosperity are true servant of leadership. You've really invested your time, your professionalism to unlock investment doors across Kenya and Africa and now globally. We honor you, sir, for believing the African ethos of Ubuntu, I am because we are. Asante sana for gracing us. And to my fellow Kenyans in the UK and my fellow Kenyans in the diaspora, I really salute your ingenuity and your unity. You've poured your time because most of you may cancel shift. I really actually apologize for this. We planned this one on Saturday evening. So showing up and canceling your shift for this particular event, it's a great honor. You've honored your passion and prayers into making these economic empowerment and investment opportunities forum happen. You've bridged continents from Kenya to Europe, proving that distance cannot dim the fire of Harambee. You are the vanguard of Kenya, channeling remittance into real investments that will propel Africa forward, and Kenya as well. And fellow Africans, economists, Christians, and patriots, this forum is our clarion call. In a world of economic headwinds, Kenya and Africa, they stand at the threshold of exponential growth through investments in agribusiness, renewable energy, and technology innovations. As an economist at heart, I see multipliers. Every pound invested here yields jobs in Muranga. As Bill Security has said, he has really employed many people. Champions Home, because the ones who are building are from Kenya. Diaspora, everyone else here, I know you are investors. And the exports from our constituency, Kiharu, and prosperity across our continent. As a Christian, I declare abundance may flow where faith meets actions. And as a politician, in making, because I know God will make it happen, and not only as a politician, but as a leader who will stand for the people of Muranga County, I pledge to fight for policies that empower our women, youth, and rural economies back home. And the reason I say empowering our women, in these leaflets about Bila Modoni Foundation, and I'm not going to read it. The main thing, even the image that is just above my photo, is for the young people. This is a training that we did. This is not AI. So it's a real training that we do for young people in Muranga County. We give them skills so that people, when you train them, they go start their own business. So we are ready to empower even women, because I know an empowered woman makes the whole society grow. Sindio? So, ningetaka kuongea mingi sana, and I won't talk. I think I'll take this chance to invite our guest speaker today, Honorable Ndindi Nyoro. So let us rise and welcome our guest speaker today.
Thank you very much. Bira, thank you very much. Asante sana. We may sit kindly. The Kenyan community and diaspora in the UK, led by all our leaders, especially my colleague here, Councillor Kimani, Councillor hapa UK. Watu ni maajabu sana. Madam Janet, of course Modoni, our pastor, and all the other leaders, including the sponsors. Good evening. Habari zenu? Buyamuri. Buyamuri naende. Muriega. Muriega fiyo. Nimeona Wakenya ni wengi hapa, and that is there any other salam that I should say? Africa is our business. Thank you very much. I have seen the face of Kenya is here. That is why I decided to pick up to represent all the others. I first of all want to really be grateful and thank you very much for inviting me to this event. I was coming here because I was following up some issues about some program I'm doing at the London School of Economics. And Bura was told by one of the people who saw me, I think at Heathrow here airport, or Nairobi, that I'm headed here. And she got in touch, and I really want to thank you, Bura, for organizing this in actually only 2 days. There was no other day that there was a mention about this event before Saturday. And therefore, this is very phenomenal, seeing the hall is already full with Kenyans and Africans and also citizens of the UK coming so that we can interact and learn from each other. I came here with a friend of mine called Wamwere. Wamwere, tafadhali amka. Wamwere is a teacher here, but he was my classmate in KU. So, na wanasema akili ni nywele, you can see he has enough. Lakini mpira kuna kitu hakunichanua, that I am coming here and I should have bought a suit at least to appear like a serious person. But I'm happy that we are serious already. So I am very glad to be here. And as Janet put it, this is not a lecture. I give my opinions, considered ones, and then I'll take some time to also interact in terms of questions, because this kind of talk should be output-based. And output-based is a person who came here, I am sure never came here for entertainment. And that is why an open forum at the end is important, so that we can interact and sharpen each other, because the reason I'm holding the mic doesn't mean that I know everything. It means that we all came to learn. Bura, ebu amuka tafadhali. Please clap for this girl. You know, Janet amesema umri wa huyu msichana ni wa chini sana. And she's been running up and down, calling me, organizing. We actually met on Saturday just to be sure. We were just chatting, so I needed to see the person. And I saw a very serious young lady. So we wish you all the best and keep up. Asante sana. And of course, to all the sponsors, we salute you because you have given up your resources also to see this successful. I want to talk about investment and the topic you called me to speak about. But it's important that I give you a small story about this gentleman here called Wamwere, which is tied to why we are meeting here today. We joined KU the same day, Kenyatta University. And when we joined in our first year, I was determined to do two things in my university life. One is to form a basis to be a leader. And number two, to form a basis to be a serious entrepreneur later in my life. So my mind was clear-cut when I was joining there. And in our first semester, like many of us do in public universities, I spent my help to pay the school fees for my year, my first year. Help your first semester. The second semester, which starts when the calendar year is starting. You know, our universities, academic year starts in November, in September. So second semester starts in January. So we opened for our second semester in our first year. And after opening, I decided it's time now to pick up the dream that I had for the twin dream. So the one that came first was for me to start a business. It was around this timing of January, Feb. So my help of second semester nikachukua, and then I borrowed Wamwere his help, which he gladly gave me, of course, to return later. I don't know whether I returned. You'll tell me. And we started like a hotel at a place called KM. I actually called it Vatican Cave. I was in first year, second semester then. And I'm giving you this story because it will be relevant later this week. It will be very relevant to all of us. Because with Wamwere, those who, I'm sure you know KU, the main campus. So we took some bus with Wamwere one morning. We went to Nairobi City. We were from the village. We are people who came to Nairobi to study. We had not come earlier. Maybe visiting an uncle once or twice in the entire lifetime. So we were there now. Tumetoka Geshagi with Wamwere. So on a February, one day in February, we went to Nairobi City. Then we arrived there. We were going to Gikoba to buy sufurias for my hotel. And then upon kufika Nairobi, we realized like Nairobi nowadays had uniform. I mean by then, because everyone was either in red, black, everything was coalescing around red and black. So as tukaenda Gikoba, we bought our sufurias, tukawekelea kwa matatu, tukakuja nazo. Where the KU buses or matatus are picked is near Rudhuri Avenue. So Wamwere told me, let's pass by some place here, some shop that was selling phone accessories. We say hi to my girlfriend. First of all, to me, Wamwere looked very sophisticated to already have a girlfriend. So we passed by there carrying sufurias. But let me tell Wamwere today here, because he's now living in the UK. So I could tell, Wamwere is telling me this is the girlfriend, but I could tell the body language was off. Because the lady was looking at us, but she was still busy in the kiosk. So we were carrying sufurias. So Wamwere was saying something, the lady replied very dismissively. So we went and took our buses back to KU. Later on, after a few weeks, as it should be, Wamwere was dumped. We later came to realize this day that Nairobi was full of red was actually Valentine's Day. We came to realize later. So Wamwere's girlfriend in quotes then was wondering. So this fellow tells me he's taking education in KU. And this other fellow is taking economics. So the lady was wondering, which is this economics that people learn through sufurias? And Wamwere from there, maneno yake ikaharibika. So we connected because he's been here in the UK for, I think this is the second or third year as a teacher. And the kind of talk we have had with Wamwere here is a talk I would really want one day we have a forum for the Kenyans who are watching us online to also learn from us who are living here in the UK. And I'll say it plainly because I know there are many watching us. That opportunities currently, the world is a global village. We are too interconnected to have functions and to lock ourselves in some geographical areas. The kind of salary Wamwere is getting here, even when I know, yes, the cost of living is also high, doing exactly what you'll be doing in Kenya as a teacher, Wamwere's salary can employ teachers in an entire school in Kenya. So what I mean is that these kind of opportunities that we have in such a place, I wish that even one day we can have a session where you give to Kenyans watching us online, because we need people to be exposed to even the knowledge itself. Knowing that, yes, we love Kenya, but the world as it is now, there are people working in Kenya, offering services in Kenya from other areas, but there are also Kenyans offering services who are still based in Kenya, but there are also Kenyans who can offer their services by also being in any other part of the globe, because you don't cease to be a Kenyan just because you are working elsewhere. So, Wamwere, forgive me for the misery that begot you that time. I hope you also learned one or two things. Now, in my safari here, I told you I came here because of LSE. Because back in Kenya, I've had an opportunity to do some 2 masters in the recent past around economics. I also took up a course at the London School of Economics because I have been in a journey of also sharpening myself as a leader. when I became the chairman of budget in Kenya, I realized that in a table where decisions are made that are too far-reaching, that affect so many Kenyans in such a deep manner, I realized sometimes decisions may be made that are not based on too much information. I'm trying to be diplomatic. And I realized it is our obligation as leaders to also look for as much knowledge as possible, because the decisions we make on the tables that we sit affect millions of people. And that is the reason why I actually went back, took 2 masters. That's the reason why I'm here, and I've taken a course at the London School of Economics. And I'll actually, even this month, I'm starting another one at Harvard University. So that I get as much as information, I sharpen my decision making as much as possible, because the difference between Kenya and so many other economies is not necessarily on the minerals or any other physical assets that we have. It is majorly based on the decisions we make as leaders, what wholesomely I would call leadership. So I'm glad to be here. Maybe you can, because I don't qualify to be a diaspora, you'll see the grade lower than you, which you can give me for being here to do what I'm doing. In Kiharu, as Janet put it, I am glad that we've been able to do something that we are all proud of as Kenyans. And I'm glad to have been at the point of doing whatever we have done. We have been serving the people of Kiharu for, this is my 2nd term. And as many of the schools that you attended in Kenya, many of course are dilapidated, many are run down, and we decided in my 1st term that we are going to do something to make the learners there, the pupils and the students, feel that attending school is different and an upgrade from staying at home. And we decided to invest in the infrastructure as the first phase in my 1st term. And we targeted primary schools to start with. Kiharu is a large constituency. We have around 112 public primary schools. It's very large. Actually, the constituency where Bula come from, because they are our neighbors, Madio and Kagema combined, is the constituency, is 2 constituencies which are neighbors Kiharu. Combined, they are less than Kiharu in landmass, in number of schools, in population, in voters, and in all other parameters. So I'm giving this background to show that it's possible to do things. Out of 112 public primary schools in Kiharu, all of them, we have built where we needed to build new classrooms. We have renovated holistically the ones that we needed to renovate. And all of them, all the pupils in Kiharu, they step on tiles. And we started another program in January called Kiharu Masomo Bora. It's covering all day school learners in Kenya, in Kiharu, which the number is around 12,000 learners. And of all the students who attend any day school in Kiharu, all the 65 of them, including 7 we have started from scratch, all of them, they only pay 500 shillings a term. That is 3 pounds per term. Per term. And they eat in school from Monday to Saturday. We included Saturday because some also go there to for remedial classes. This may not make too much sense here in the UK, but it's good that I say it, that we make them also enjoy a meal of chapati every last Friday of the month. Maybe this is the wrong forum to talk about chapati, given I'm in London, but you guys, you all have roots in Kenya. and I believe that you associate. So I am very proud of those kind of achievements. And from the onset, let me put it very clearly. The reason we started Kiharu Masomo Bora, where learners are paying 500 shillings per term, and they eat in school, it is because we want to use Kiharu constituency as the laboratory for the entire country. And in my capacity as Member of Parliament for Kiharu, representing the people of Kenya in the National Assembly, I have taken it up as my challenge that I am going to champion for free basic education in Kenya. And I don't want that agenda to be pushed in an election year. I want it to happen now. And I've been saying, and I want to repeat, I don't even want to throw this ball to anyone, leaders who are in higher positions than myself. I also want to be part of the solution. And what I've been proposing is very simple. In Kenya, you know, we have NGCDF, the CDF. We have money that goes to our governors, called equitable share. And then we have the national government. All of us participate in education matters. So my proposal has been very simple. Kenya has got 3 to 4 million learners in our senior secondary schools. We require only 30 billion Kenya shillings to make education in the senior secondary schools free and totally free, including the lunch program. And I am proposing that out of the money that we get at the constituency level called CDF, the country to get 10 billion shillings from there. That is 30 million Kenya shillings from every constituency, including Kiharu. So we'll have 10 billion shillings from CDF. We also talked to our governors to also give up 10 billion shillings. And I'm already talking to them from the equitable share. And then the national government, out of the 4.2 trillion Kenya shillings budget, to also get 10 billion Kenya shillings. And then we form a kitty we may call Kenya Day Secondary Schools kitty. And that money is enough to make quality education accessible to all these quarters across Kenya for free without paying anything. A student in Kenya requires around 35 shillings per term, per day, for a meal per day. And they are in schools 185 days in a year. So we require around 6,500 shillings per year, per learner. And then we can top up something for the principals to do the other things they need to do in the schools, including employing BOM teachers. So I'm just here to tell you, it is possible. And I want to tell you, I will take it up, even if I'll be the only single leader in Kenya who will do it. Nimejitolea kuifanya na itafanyika. We have had learners coming all the way from Kariobangi who are studying in Kiharu, living in families hosted by strangers. I have one at a place called Gaideri, who came all the way from Kariobangi. He was a student in Dagoretti High School, but they couldn't manage because of fees. He was out of school for 2 years. Then he found his way to Kiharu. He's being hosted by a total stranger in terms of family lineage, and a person who is not too well off. But the young man, the last exam, he had a plain A. So how many more Kenyan young people are losing out and they are being locked out of our education system just because we cannot do such a thing? I believe there are many. And that is why I am just repeating, I don't want this agenda to be an election year agenda. The Kenyan budget is made in June. I want that issue to be done by that June, if not earlier, so that every Kenyan can get an opportunity to be a better workforce, and to be a better provider of human capital. Now, I wrote a few things and points that I want to share with ourselves here. And I need to thank you as Kenyans in the UK, because maybe nobody has gotten an opportunity to tell you this, but I need to tell you. But the UK now is the number 2 remittance. Remittances from the UK are now number 2 in Kenya as we talk. From the US, it is now you. All the others are now lower. There is a time a Gulf country almost was overtaking the UK, but of course you have roared back. And for me, when I talk about remittances in the UK, of course, number 1 is the US. I also see about the quality of remittances. And we are talking this in all good faith. Kenyans like yourselves, Kenyans like the ones back at home, it is our obligation as leaders to make sure that when Kenyans come out to work in countries like the UK, the way you are doing, they do not come here to work at the lowest cadre of the opportunities. You know, for example, the Kenyans in the Gulf. When somebody tells you they work in Gulf, any country, what comes to your mind? Exactly. And I believe Kenyans are more than that. We are definitely more than that. We can do like what all of us here are doing. And that is why you see even remittance per capita, per person, the UK, the US and the UK is number 1 per capita, per person. Because the quality of money you make here is definitely better and more. The kind of jobs you do here, on average, I mean, we are not all equal even here, is much better on average than in many other areas. And therefore, you need to be commended. But I also want to highlight that one thing that happened to me, and I became a very proud Kenyan, while still around here. So I got some guy from Barbados in the black taxis. And we were there in the taxi. He was not talking. As usual, you see how they, you know how they do their business and their work. But upon arriving to the place we were going, the guy, and we were just having a usual chat even at the back of the taxi. The guy asked, "You guys, are you Kenyan?" Then I actually thought maybe this guy is from Nairobi. Then we told him, yes, we are from Kenya. How did you know? Do you know what he told us? He responded that, "You guys are so cool. I knew you are Kenyan." And please clap for yourselves, it's not me. Because that is the kind of name you have given our country even out here. Imagine we are not even talking in Swahili. We were speaking in the language that you use here. But the guy could recognize that out of the 50-something countries from Africa, that where you get cool Africans, it is from the capital of Africa called Kenya. And you guys have put Kenya in that kind of dispensation and map. I want to talk about 2 things which brought me here so that we can also interact. One is business, and the other one is investments. And those are the topics that when I'm not doing the public policy I'm doing, and being a public servant, I enjoy the kind of topic you gave me. Because I believe also it is a way of moving our country and our continent closer to the kind of country we have here in the UK. Business and investments. There are many other names you can give them. Entrepreneurship is some form of it, but I'll categorize them broadly into 2. That is in terms of business, but also in terms of investments. And we spend much more time on the investment side. When we talk about business and we are talking generally about the economy, there are things I am sure you do, but I'm just reminding all of us to keep on doing. Because many times when we do things without foresight, we end up using a lot of, or doing so much hard work for so little return. When you go to cut some firewood and you can't take some few minutes to sharpen the axe, then you end up being so tired, doing so much hard work, which was not consequential. And I find that a lot of the time, the things we do in those two fronts, business and investments, in many areas we work so hard, get so little return, because we don't invest in knowing. We just want to do without sharpening the axe first. It is important. I have seen you are doing so well already. Champion Homes, very nice. My brother here, Councillor. Hadi wewe umekuja hapa, unaokota pesa na bado uko siasa. UK. Sante sana. This is very commendable and phenomenal. So it is important all the time when you are thinking about business, for example, we start there. You are here in the UK, but your home is in Kenya. But you want to do business. So where, first of all, do you want to do business? Is it here or there? And then after you know that, these two economies are very different. The demographics are very different. But also the supply chains are equally very different. And the abundances are also polars. They are opposites. While Kenya, we have abundance of labor, here in terms of accumulation of capital is much higher. So you need to think about, when you think about business, leverage about you being Kenyan, but also knowing so much about the UK, so that you decide whatever business you do, whether it's here or there, what makes the best use of you. But more importantly, and it's something I keep on doing myself, understand the world. Understanding the world doesn't take you too long. Many times I find when we are watching football for 2 hours, the same enthusiasm we watch football and those who watch movies and the rest, if you took some time to also learn about the world you live in, economically speaking, that you can watch Bloomberg, CNBC, and all the other channels that sharpen your acumen of making decisions in terms of economy and business, you can only become better. What do I mean? Take, for example, how the world has been. Because all these things add up to our decisions today. The reason why I'm telling you I'm back to school, I've been back to school, is the same reason many of you have been back to school. Why do you go back to school? And especially when it's not about the pay rise. It is also to know more, to be more efficient, to make your decisions more yielding. Are we together? And I've come to understand that it's important for me to also understand how the economy of the world has been. Now we are here in the UK, very organized country, very organized city here in London, very organized. But you can tell it is a fading power. You can tell it is a fading power. And this, it's not about the UK, it's about how the world has been. So that it helps you in making decisions. Many years back, like 250 years back, or 300, Netherlands was the superpower of the world. Can you even believe that? It was the superpower, including their currency was the global reserve currency. After some years, the United Kingdom, where we are, became the superpower of the world. Of course, after the UK the US took over. And I'm talking about superpower in terms of growth of GDP, the wealth of the people, technology, and all those things combined, including being the owner of the reserve currency at that particular time. Now you can already tell we are now headed towards Asia. We are moving towards China in terms of the versatility of the economies, whether we like it or not. It's not a matter of I like this or this. It's about how the sequence of the economy is shaping up. That helps everyone when you are making a decision to know the kind of business you need to do anywhere else. Why? Netherlands is there, bequeathed to the UK where we are. Again, the US took over. Now we can tell there is a tussle between the US and China. Even their GDP in terms of size, the per capita one, the US is very much ahead. But in terms of the aggregate, you can see China is coming closer all the time because their growth in terms of GDP is much higher than the US. So the gap keeps on bridging. Because when number 2 is growing faster than number 1, you are reducing the gap. How does that, why am I giving all these manenos here? It helps you to know where the economy is at a particular time. An economy that is already grown like here, like the US, even the leaders, when we are elected to do different things. A leader in the US, the UK, Germany, all these other countries, you are elected to run a country. Because the country is already there, you run it. But when you are elected as a leader in a country like Kenya, many parts of Asia, the entire of Africa, you are elected to build a country. And there's a difference between building a country and running one. In Germany, it's about maintaining the infrastructure that you already have. In Kenya, it's about building critical infrastructure that is lacking. So your decision making must be very different. But also that carries along all of us as business people. And I'm also talking about it as an entrepreneur. When you are living in a country like here, the UK, the US, the UK, and also the other countries that have already advanced so much, the opportunities in those countries are very different from the opportunities in Indonesia, in Thailand, in those other countries in Asia, but they are also very different from the opportunities we have in Kenya and Africa. As I've put it earlier, you guys, this country now, when the mayor is elected, he does not call you into barazas the way you do in Kenya. Nitaweka lami pale, mutakunywa maji. You'd think this guy is out of his mind, is it? Because he's elected to basically make sure that is done and that is working. But in Kenya, it becomes a political promise that you are going to build roads and you are going to supply water in terms of piped water. So that's not the point. The point is that all the economies of the world, how they have grown, you adopt labor-intensive industries. You grow, and pollutive industries. After you've grown and exhausted all those opportunities, you upgrade to skill-based. After you upgrade to skill-based, you then upgrade to capital-based. After you exhaust now capital is abundant and etc., you now go to technology-driven economy. So if you draw a chart from labor-intensive, skill-intensive, capital-intensive, technology-intensive, here, UK, they are now looking at ways of doing things more efficiently. They're already there at the technology level. Kenya, we are still at labor-intensive, the lowest of the cadre. But what we must do as the African economies, including Kenya, is to do something called leapfrogging. Yes, we need to take care of abundance of labor by supplying job opportunities, because it's both a social problem and also an economic one. But leapfrogging means it's not a must you queue. When you get a queue in a hotel, you can jump the line, literally speaking. So as much as you are taking care of labor-intensive opportunities here, because they could be done more efficiently where labor is abundant, you also think about also the other categories, and especially skill-based, capital-based, and also technology-based. It's not a must that we wait for the developed countries to clear the way for us. We can be taking care of these labor-intensive industries, even as we look forward to capitalizing on skill, capital, and technology-intensive industries. What am my challenge here? My challenge around there is, you are here running a company that deals with security, which needs labor. You are here like my brother, Mheshimiwa Councillor. He's running a very hugely labor-intensive industry because BPOs, they require labor, real human beings. I'm trying to make the point closer. The worry, just to tie up this point, the worry of Elon Musk in the UK, in the US, the worry of his company is how to make a robot that does what many of us can do. That is his biggest worry, because they're already at that technology level. But now that's not where we are. We are where we need a human being to do what those other guys want to be done by a machine. And not just a machine, a computer, a machine that looks like you. So what I'm trying to tie up this point is, as we make decisions on the businesses we are doing, you are here running a security company. I was wondering when I was talking to Bura. Most of it is looking at CCTVs, of course, alerting the security personnel. Doing all security work is not security work back in Kenya. That's what I came to understand. It's very different. So I was just thinking in my mind, you may forgive my just thinking about money too fast. I was just wondering, how can one leverage on technology to actually be on the site while actually being in Kehancha, in Migori? That's what I came thinking. How can that security person be manning a site where they're actually in Nyando, back in Kenya, but they're actually here in the UK working? Anyway, I'm just trying to say, we have an economy that is labor abundant where we come from. We have an economy that has money where we are here, and that has got scarcity of labor. We must look for a way to amalgamate all those so that selfishly it works for our economy, Kenya. I say selfishly because I don't want an economy where Kenya is not left behind. That even as we make money in our individual capacities, our country is also making forward gains. We may talk more about business later. Let me jump to investments. And I talked about it globally because, as I said, I'm not in a hurry myself. Some of you may be in a hurry. I don't want us to interact later in terms of questions, opportunities back at home, etc. But I want to be more specific, more than broad, on the investment side. Hiyo ya kwanza nimewapea a lot of macroeconomics. I want now to come closer to things that are doable in terms of investments. So you are here in the UK making 300,000 shillings a month. A teacher here, I was told you can easily make 500,000 as a teacher here. So what comes to your mind then after that? How can this money work for me? I'm working so hard here, working long hours. And of course, I need much more money to sustain myself here. So even if I'm earning more, the costs are also higher than back at home. Investments. Investment to me is I've already worked, I have money. How can this money become more? How can my 1 million become more than 1 million, which is the shortest route, which is safe? There is land. There is government boards. There is fixing money in the bank. There are circles. There are so many areas that you keep hearing when you come back home. My work here is to open up ourselves that it's not just what we know. We can do more than we know. And I'll tell you why my passion is in one of the categories. And I do it. So I'm not passively teaching you something I don't do. When you make money here in the UK and you send back home, that is a remittance. Remittance, how do we actually spend our remittance back at home? When you send money, what is it for? Most of our remittance is consumer-driven remittances. We say to our parents, our brothers, our cousins, consumer-based. Is there a way we can harness the same money we are making, the same amount, and now have a configuration of the mind from remittances to FDI in a smaller way? FDI, foreign direct investments. If you tabulate the last money you sent back home, this one went to pay what, this number 2 went to pay what, number 3. Most of the money we said is for people to consume. It is okay. But even when we are here, I think it will make more even economic advantage to all of us when we now start seeing the money we are making and sending back home from just supporting our kin and our family members into building opportunities for investment for ourselves, because that in the long run helps the economy even more. Now, when we are there now at FDI, in whichever small manner, FDI is not just about billions of dollars and pounds. Let's talk about FDI, the same money you said. So when you are sending back home for investing, and you are now based in the UK, you are talking about investing, your brother is in the US, is about investing. Do you, at any point in time, first of all, think about, you're already a global citizen. By virtue, you live in London or the environs of London. You are from Kenya. You are in London. All those who are watching, they are in the US. So you are already a global citizen. And your decision making when it comes to investments must be of a global citizen. You can no longer afford to now make ignorant decisions. Ignorant decisions are the ones we were told when we were leaving Sharks to come to Nairobi, before we actually now came to the UK. The decision you used to be told, a grown up, you only invest in this manner. Who told you? Your mother and your father. With all due respect, it's good to obey them. But you are more exposed now. You could actually now pass to give them more information because you are more exposed. You know better. So before you venture and you put in your money in anything to invest, please, at the line, you have the advantage many people don't have, to have a global view of things. And I'll go back to where I started now when I was giving you about Netherlands, but now closer home. When you talk about investments, you have your money here. All of you here have money. I can tell by your foreheads. So the money you are thinking of, the only thing that comes to your mind, and I love this is about homes. So when I talk about real estate, for me this is commendable, because this is already a revenue generator. I want to talk about land. Many of you have bought plots in Kenya, and in the process of buying more. I want us now to keep thinking all the time. I'm buying my fourth plot, my fifth plot. What do they become when you buy them? Because your investment is based on two things. One, regular income. Whatever you invest in, there is some regularity of what you get from it. My number two is capital gains. I bought it at this much, it has now gained up to this much. The plot you bought in 2021, can you test it using those parameters? As an income earner, but as a capital gainer. Many of you already have answers. Yes. Land never loses. Okay. Maybe I agree. The one you bought now, because I'm going back to Kenya, said me to get somebody to buy. And then you tell me when you're going to sell it. So, it is important we keep now thinking about more things. But that's not where I'm going. I wanted to start here up. Do we study to know, because anything you buy for investment is based on markets. Everything you buy. There is nothing you buy out of investment that is not in the market. When you buy T-bills, they are in the market. When you buy boats, they are in the market. When you fix money, they are in the market of banks, of money. You are fixing money using interest rate. That is the market. When you buy shares, they are in the markets. NYSE, London Stock Exchange, Nairobi Stock Exchange, Nairobi Securities Exchange, Nigerian Stock Exchange, Johannesburg, they are based in the markets. So it is, even when you are buying land, it is in real estate market. So everything is in the market. So do you take some time to study about the market you are putting in your money? First of all, start globally and how all of them are intertwined. Now we are here in the UK. Every time you hear the central bank here giving a guidance of interest rate, for the last 2 or so years, they have been lowering interest rates. When you hear about the Federal Reserve in the US, they have been, at the worst, sustaining, but at most times, they have been lowering interest rates. What does that tell you and your money in the bank? Because those are the decisions you need to keep on making for yourself. And I'm talking about this because diasporans, you have lost money by listening to so many people on things you should do for yourself. So start there first. So how is Dow Jones doing? It has now done its highest record ever on Friday. Highest ever. That is the US market, stock market. But how is the Federal Reserve behaving? When the Federal Reserve are meeting, they sustained the previous one, but the other previous one they lowered. Then somebody is wondering, kwani mtu hii vitu anasoma London School of Economics anatuletea hapa? Yes, because it's about your money. Those things is not about economics. It's about the money in your pocket. Because they should affect the way you are making decisions about your money. So when interest rates are lowered, what comes down alongside the interest rates? T-bills, bonds, some form of MMXs, some form of consolidated funds, in whichever name you call it. You know the money you pull together, then they invested for you, many of you. Even that, some of it, MMFs, they are also part of that. So keep asking yourself then, when global interest rates are coming down, what should I do with my money? That's the question I'm driving at. Is it a coincidence that when interest rates in the US are coming down, they're also coming down in the UK and the entire Europe, but even in Africa, whether you like it or not, you have to do the same as an African economy. Because, as I said, the decisions you're making as an economy are also intelligent. Intelligent meaning they are interrelated to other economies because you don't live in isolation. When the interest rates are hiked, let's say Tanzania puts up their interest rate at 10%, and Kenya interest rate is at 5%. What happens? A rational person moves their money to where the interest rates are higher. So an economy experiences something called a capital outflow. Now, that is affecting your money in many dynamics, because it's not a coincidence when also Dow Jones interest rates are coming down in the US. On the other side, stock market is going up. Because the money we invest personally, ile yangu kidogo, yako kidogo, the retail investors across the world, they make up a very small segment of all the investments in the world. So the intelligent money is the money BlackRock is investing, Goldman Sachs, HSBC in terms of their wealth management arm. That is an intelligent money because they have many brains behind their decision making. So when the rates are coming down, they are shifting their money to other areas that have better yield. So it becomes, by consequence, the stock market. So that is, I want that to be the last jargons I am using now to come to the options themselves. So you said money back home for lad. At this particular time, you are seated here in 2026. It is the year of what? Because all investments have their own timing. Land has its own timing. Many of you made big money by buying land and selling times 10. Even me, I have done that in the past. So there is land here. There is a time you are sending money back home to buy infrastructure boards. You are earning 18%. So that's the second option. There is the third option here. You can build a flat. It is also a form of real estate. But then there is another category here called shares, stocks. And there is a last one called private equity. Those are the kind of things I would want you to keep on analyzing for yourself. Now, year 2026, when interest rates are coming down globally, I don't think it's a very good decision to then go where money there is no money. Where money is declining, you don't put money there. So you know what to do with that category. Real estate here, I mean land, not an income earner. This for me is not real estate. This for me is just the same way you can buy into any business because it is giving you money. When you rent out this apartment, anything that gives you money is a resource that is generating you money. It's not necessarily store of value. So we are here in terms of land. So you have 6 plots in Juja Farm. And you are setting to buy a 4th one in another place. Please analyze. Is this the year of real estate or the era? Era means if you trace back 2 years back and now, how is this market performing? Because it can always help you even project how it will perform. The beauty about markets, they behave the same way. The real estate, when you see real estate changes in London, in most instances, you find the same tendency in New York, in Nairobi, and many other places. So think about that. And when you are investing in real estate, my take, as a person who is here working in the UK, when you buy 10 pieces of land, moja inataka caretaker, another one to look after it, your neighbor, which you said something also to boost for security purpose. Others, somebody anamwaga mawe hapo. Another one, there's somebody fencing your plot. Ask yourself, is this still an asset or it has started to become a liability to you? So think about that. And we are not making conclusions in this meeting. We are just provoking ourselves. So, ile deposit umeweka to your 5th plot, ni ya nini? ploti ya 5. Sasa unanunua moja wapi? Kiawabogo na pale Thika. Kilimabogo. Okay, interrogate yourself. And ask yourself, how comes here in the UK, the billionaires we read about in the US, they are not so obsessed with land the way we are? How comes? That they actually buy land for fun now afterwards, like in Bill Gates, not in terms of as a form of wealth. So that's one. Now ask yourself, is it now the era of SACCOs? There's a community that lives here that I met over Christmas. And they were telling me about SACCOs where you put money as diaspora. And I'm not here to talk about or against any business. Okay. When you buy shares in a SACCO, have you ever tried to sell them? Try. Just kama uko na 1,000 shares, tell them to sell for you 100, then you tell me how long it will take. Okay, in a company that creates shares all the time they are needed, when will the value be gotten? Because if I need 10 shares, they are created. If I need 1 million shares, they are created based on the money I have. You know, scarcity is the one that gives things value. This one with full supply, when will my value ever start to grow? So think about it. SACCOs, you said back money home, evaluate. There are interconnections you get. Maybe they lend you money, but purely as a form of investment, nawekaga pesa kwa SACCO to invest. And there is no other mutual benefit you are getting out of your relationship with the SACCO. Think about it and test your ideas, sometimes practically, by giving an order. Please sell for me, I need some urgent money. And then you tell me, how urgent can you get your money? How urgently can that come? So think about it. Think about fixing money, treasury boards and bills. Is this the era? Think about it. When Fed is coming down, we see Trump is voracious on pushing the new Fed chairman to put the rates even further down. Ask yourself, is he likely to succeed? Yes. Because he's already succeeded in knocking out the Fed chair. And actually, he has succeeded already in appointing his choice. So, if there is monetary easing in the US, monetary easing meaning the interest rates are coming down. So, where should your money be in that kind of an atmosphere? Think about it. Also, now get to jumping to many things which are relevant. Niko karibu kumaliza. Think about currencies as you put your money. If, for example, you fix money in a country that gives you 11%, 12%, fixing meaning not just in the bank, even T-bill and bonds, for me, they are all the same category. They guarantee you over return. So you buy bonds of 12%. Inflation could be 5%, that's fine. But is there a tendency for inflation to be stable at a period when especially some economies are going to an election year? Those are some of the decisions you need to be doing for yourself. I'm buying bonds here, it's fixed at already 12%. Okay, in election years, have these economies I'm investing in have been able to arrest inflation for the entire period of electioneering period? Once you get the answer, it will guide you where to put your money again. Now, currency. Back home, we are talking about the dollar having, the shilling having been stable and gained since August of 2022. That's the message I'm sure you keep on hearing. But it's almost always important, don't listen to me as a politician. Information I'm giving you is verifiable online for free. Credible sites. The reason I'm throwing currency to you is because it also affects the kind how your money behaves in the next few years. So in the day of election in Kenya in 2022, the Kenya shillings to USD was 120.5. Actually, that's the day of swearing in. 120.5 shillings per greenback, per USD. Is now 130. 129 there. But what has made that, what has made the talk of, oh, we have stabilized the shilling? Can anyone make a guess why people have audacity to even come and say we have stabilized the shilling? IMF? Loans? Can somebody tell me, why does the shilling seem stable against the dollar? Anyone with an idea? All this maneno I'm telling you is not about economics, it's about your money. Printing, somebody else? Let me put it because so that we cross the bridge. The reason the shilling is 130 to the dollar for over 2 years is not based on the strength of the Kenya shilling. It is based on the weakness of the dollar. When you do like this, there's a lever here, like this, you put weight. When you put weight here, my brother, nishikie hapa. Yes, I want to demonstrate something so that it also helps in our decisions about our money. Now this, you used to do this in your primary schools. Don't look at me like you are born here. So we used to sit here and another boy here. Seesaw. So boy mbig agekaa hapa, wewe ulikuwa unaenda wapi? Juu. What does that mean? Mwenye ako juu ako? Now, if some of these things, keep on verifying for yourself, because they'll betray your decision making about investments if you make a wrong turn. The dollar in 2025, the dollar lost 10% against a basket of all other global currencies. The dollar. You know, people are wondering, how can the dollar lose? The strength of a currency is always relative to. There is no strength of a currency. It is relative to something. So dollar is now the global reserve. So all the other currencies are measured relative to the dollar. Now, the US, the Federal Reserve, the US president started showing signs of this Federal Reserve is part of the executive of the US. The markets responded. The market responded by just viewing the Federal Reserve as not as dependent as the markets thought. The markets believe that a global currency should be dependent of the whims of politicians. So when the market started to realize that, so a politician can actually force in somebody to be the chair, and the talk started about, we can get you out, Powell. Then the market started admitting that into the strength of the dollar. And the dollar, you can, some of this information verify later. The dollar rose 10%. So when you hear a Kenyan politician talking about, we have stabilized the shilling, first of all, it has lost from 2022, from 120 to 129. But more importantly, the shilling ought to have gained by 10% the loss of the dollar in the year 2025 alone. Do you want to verify that? Look at how much were the Kenya shillings how much were the Kenya shillings against the euro in the year 2022 in August. Just check. The same day the dollar was 120 shillings, the euro was 116. Listen to me carefully. The same day the dollar was 120.5, Kenya shillings to the dollar was 120.5. The same day, the euro was 116. How much is the euro now? Check. Kenya shillings to the euro today. Somebody just check online. 153. Now, that day, the shilling was 120.5 to the dollar in August 2022. The British pound was 136. How much is it now? You know better off the head. 175. Is that a loss or a gain? It's a loss. It's a gain to you sending back money home. But it's a loss to our economy. You get what I mean? So I'm just telling you this because as you make decisions about your money, your source of information should not be a conflicted person who is a politician. It should be verifiable information. Because even if you, this is the reason I'm telling you about currencies. You fix money at 12% per annum. In, let's not use our country for patriotism's sake. Let's use Uganda. And we assume the same dynamics persist. I hope you've gotten the dynamics. That the money you use here was 136. Can you do for me 175 minus 136? I want to see the percentage loss in the last 3 years. 175 minus 136 divided by 136. Now listen to these guys. No, you take 10 million. Huku UK watu hawapumui because you bought a boat in Uganda, eh? We are not using that those other areas. You know, we can't use Kenya. Kenya is a very good country. So you fix money through a boat because it's the same way. I mean, fixing money, buying boats is all the same. So can you divide by that 28 divided by 3? Mnajua kwa nini nafanya hii? I want to see annual. How much? 9. So by just keeping your money in the bank as British pound, you have evaded to lose 9% in that Uganda we are talking about. So if you bought a boat at 12%, it means your real gain is what? If you bought a boat at 12% per annum, 3%, now put in the inflation of 4%. So all I'm triggering our mind. As you make your investment decisions, look at all those dynamics. The very last one, then I sit and we interact. Mimi, of all those other things we've talked about, I advocate for two more than all the others. One is called buying listed shares. I advocate for two, and I tell you the reason. I'm not telling you to start doing, I'm just telling you start considering them. When I buy shares, what am I buying? Okay, when I buy a board, what am I actually doing? Do you know what you're doing? When you buy a board, what do you think you're doing? You are lending money to the government. What do we keep on telling you? The government never? Very good. This is risk-free, total risk. Here, do you have friends from Ghana in this country? I hope they invested in their government boats. Some time back, 2 years back. What is the story now from them? Can they do that anymore? How the sequences of the economies run, after every 50 years, there is always a debt reset across the globe. So it's always good to time your economy you are investing in, because you may be born in the 49th year. So, and 50th year is next year. You could also be on the 42nd. So you have experience of 7 years. So no one can tell you anything. Where I've been investing in these things. What can you tell me? Now, debt across the world, if you study over 500 years, there is always a reset of debt. And I can tell you, in our country, Kenya, currently we are borrowing 4 billion shillings every single day on net basis. I'm saying the debt of Kenya is growing by 4 billion Kenya shillings every day, including today, on net basis. Net basis means Sijahesabu the one they borrowed to pay you the one they had borrowed. That one is gross. I'm talking about net. So all the economies have shown that truth is never perpetually safe and sustainable all the time. It is not possible. Because our debt has now grown from 8.7 trillion Kenya shillings from 2022 to now over 12.5 trillion Kenya shillings. And that money I'm talking about is not for roads. The money we are, as Kenya, we are borrowing, the money we are building roads with is another loan we are borrowing called securitization. It's not part of this 12.5. It's another one we are calling revenue-backed and asset-backed. So it's not included. It is off the book loan. It's not in the book. It's off. The money we are doing the railway with is also off the book securitization of the railway levy. So I'm talking about we are adding 4 billion Kenya shillings every day, most of which is not going to development. It is going into the recurrent. It means they are not going to investing. When you take a loan and you buy this flat can pay itself because you just need a deposit of mortgage, the rent will pay the mortgage until the house becomes yours, is it? But when you take a loan to go and watch AFCON in Morocco, are you going to get anything out of that in terms of tangible money? Exactly. So that is how it is. So we cannot do that perpetually, but we should talk about very good things happening in Kenya. So let me shift. But you've gotten what you've gotten. It is never perpetually at the safe. Oh, government boards. Ah, very nice. Ghanaians, your friends. Do you know what happened? Their government told all the debtors, guys, I know I owe you $1 million shillings, but from today I owe you 700,000. It's called a haircut. Yes, economically it's called a haircut. You'd go to the court, okay, you are given even, and you know what they do? They do that to domestic, because foreigners may constrain other things for future funding. So domestic, it's me and you, and NSSF and the rest, is it? When the government tells you, I know I owe you $1 million, but from today, you are taking a haircut of 30%. Go to the Supreme Court, they give you even all that you need to recover your money. So utachota GK hivyo kama utafanya nini? So what I'm trying to say is, there is no totally safe investment. Test it across all the other risks. The risk may not have happened in the last 8 years, but maybe it will happen in the next 2. That's what I'm trying to say. So the more the reason, I prefer these last 2. One is shares. Why? I understand it. Straightforward. I don't need to send anyone back home money that it will invest for me. I'll send to my own stockbroker from the UK direct. And I write an email giving them an order to buy me my own shares. Or they'll actually give me an online platform. I trade for myself. So I don't need intermediaries. That's tick number 1. Secondly, the question I asked you, when you are buying those other things, this one you are lending to government. When you are fixing money, you are actually giving the bank a liability. The money you get out of giving your deposits in a bank, you're also lending the bank, in quotes. That's why they give you a motivation of 12%, because you are lending the bank. Are you getting me? Higher. So all this is lending. But I'm lending to a third party. Government is a third party. Bank is a third party. Okay, but you are told what? They are risk free. Okay, fine. Sawa. Okay. When I'm buying shares, this is how I see it. If you have 100 of these bottles, that carton is called a company. When one bottle is yours, and one bottle is my brother's, and Councillor the other bottle. So we have one share each in that carton. That is basically it. That I know when I'm buying one share, I'm buying the value of that company. I am a part owner. So, is this the era of shares? In my opinion, much more in Kenya. The Dow Joneses are hitting the roof. They are recording their bestest years, if there is such a word. Because they have hit 50,000 Dow Jones on Friday. I think today it still went higher. But in Kenya, companies are trading for bargain. And I'll give you a few examples. Because when you are buying shares, don't buy a share, buy the company. In your mind, unajua nanunua hii kampuni. So that even if you buy one share, you are buying the company. Take any share listed in the NSE. Just shout one. Safaricom, any other? Let's start Safaricom. Safaricom was 45 shillings in the year 2021. Today it was 32. They have invested in Ethiopia. They have now started showing signs Ethiopia is recovering from bleeding cash to being a tap, bringing in money into the company. So use that information. Any other? Equity Bank. Equity Bank, their core capital, the worth of the bank, vis-a-vis how it is trading in the market, it is trading at 25% discount. That is, the share, if you buy all the shares of equity, vis-a-vis the company, if it was to wood up today, the money the owners would get, you are buying it for 75% of the value. Any other? Kenya Power. Kenya Power made 24 billion last year in net profit. 24 billion. The entire Kenya Power is valued for 30 billion. What more do I need to tell you? Are you getting what I'm saying? So these things I'm saying, they are not jargons. They are real things that you must use in your decision making. Kenya Power made 24 billion last year. Can you just even think that? They are worth 30 billion. That if diasporas in the UK bought it today, in 1.5 years, you've recovered all your money. Are you getting? Any other? Kenya Airways is, okay. Every area, there is no sure bet in investments. I hope you know that. Kenya Airways could be one of those. Is it? Out of the basket of many, it's operating on negative capital. Let me not talk about it. Yeah. Any other? I want you to give me the ones you know. Kenyari. East African breweries. And I'm looking at it in terms of value. Me, I look at it like I'm buying the company. EABL trading at maybe 250 shillings today. Asahi Group in Japan are buying from Diageo 65% of EABL for how much? 590 shillings a share. You know, the reason I'm telling you these things is to show you the market in Kenya is deep. As we see the other markets flaring up, there are markets that are still depressed. And a depressed market is a good market for the buyer, not the seller. Are you getting? So it's, I know some of you bought shares when they are very high. That's your problem. We are now talking about the current buyers. Are you getting me? Tell me any other. Kenyan. Kenyan, they made a profit of 10.6 billion last year. Their entire market capitalization is 60 billion. Their assets is 500 billion. They have assets of 500 billion shillings. No, you know why I'm telling you these figures? Look at yourself like you're buying the entire Kenyan. Or do you even think twice? Or do you think even twice? Have that mentality when you're buying shares. Any other, the last one? Kenyari. Now listen to this story. Kenyari, they have been making a profit of like 5 billion shillings. on average. Their market capitalization, the entire world, if you bought all the shares of Kenya Re, you'd spend 17 billion. So don't see about the billions. When I say about five, just say, okay, he's talking about 5 million, but the company is worth 17 million. Bring it down. Even me, that's what I do to see it with my eyes, not with the big figures. So a company making 5 billion, but is valued at 17 billion. It's making net profit of 17. Second thing, these fellows have no loan, zero. They have no one, they owe even an overdraft. That their cash and cash equivalent, listen, cash and cash equivalent, do you know what that means? Money fixed in the bank, the money lying in the bank, and the ones in T-boats, T-bills and boats. Those are cash and cash equivalent. It's anything that you can turn into cash like this. That's why they are called cash and cash equivalent. They have 41 billion. That doesn't sound real. A company is valued at 17 billion. That if you bought all the shares today, it would cost you 17 B. And the entire Kenya Re ifungwe kama nyama, uwekewe ni yako. Upon going home and kufugua ile nyama, the cash and cash equivalent alone, pesa, ulirealize si nyama tu walifunga, hapa kado, wameweka kitu, pesa, is 41 billion and is part of the 17 you paid. Yani, umenunua nyama ya 170 shillings. Quarter. Umeshika? 170 shillings. Kufika nyumbani kwenye uliwekewa, kufugua, nyama iko ile ulinunua. Because the company is still there. But then you realize, there is money that is 410,000. No, 410 shillings. It's part of the package. I know it doesn't sound credible. In other words, you buy a flat for 17 million. So you bought the flat. And inside the flat, one side has a factory. So it's not just a flat, it is a going concern. But upon opening the door in the sitting room, and you bought it at 17 million, in the sitting room, you get a bag with 41 million. That is how some of these companies are grossly undervalued. Any other, the last one? And I'm saying you mention any because I don't want it to sound like they are just a few. BAT hadn't done analysis. Pipeline. Kakuzi, their asset in terms of land alone, their worth is a fraction. But I'm not telling you to go. I hope you guys are already now very sophisticated. I'm throwing the ball to your court to go and analyze so that you get the very best of them. And also there are many parameters you look at. If it's land, an agricultural company may be very high in terms of value of land, but may be less in sustainable profit. If it's banks, banks are spread in Kenya. They are money-making machines. They are profitable. They pay dividends. And why I buy shares is, I'm not buying some hot thing. If I buy equity share today and it falls, remember my value doesn't fall. It is the market that is falling, not my worth. That's how I look at it. Because I'm not there to sell tomorrow. If I buy equity shares today, let's say I have 2% of Equity Bank, I'd never care where the share price is going. I care about the value. The value of a company is not just based on the share price. It is based on other things. So what I'm just trying to say is that when you buy shares today, the real value you are buying is much higher than the amount you are paying in terms of the share. The real value. So I'll add it there, but after here now, because I believe this is the period of shares myself, but I'm checking to see whether signals will come to show me the exit. I am hoping by close of 2026, we'll be seeing the sunset of shares in terms of as a good investment. The information I've given you, we already have even dumped the share price, so there'll be no advantage. Because remember, you gain out of the ignorance of others. So when the information percolates into the value of something, then you have nothing more to gain. So after there, you go to private equity. What is private equity? After you make all the money this one you've made in the stock market, you are now done. You bought your Kenya Power, you've done times 10. Now you get out. After you get out, I still invest in companies because I believe that's the only way to get the real value. There's no Forbes billionaire who is there because they own land. None. Not even one. Can I tell you, Donald Trump, his worth of the truth media, which is Ross making he started, is more than his entire portfolio of real estate. What does that tell you? You know Trump Tower and all those things. The Trump media, ile yake, the stake is higher in value than Trump Tower. Are you getting my brother? Yes, please try to. The entire Forbes series, Elon Musk, is about SpaceX, Tesla, but what? Owning stakes in a company that's growing. Remember, when you buy Trump Tower, even if you live for 100 years, it will never add one more floor on top. Never. Only the rent will grow. Unless you build another Trump Tower on the side. When you buy HSBC Bank, if they have possibility of opening their branch in Kenya, that's growth. When I buy Equity Bank shares, they have capacity, even to have a London office. That's more money. They have ability to expand to West Africa, to South Africa. But when I buy a static asset that has no life, has no growth. So look for. So I go to private equity afterwards. Why? When you exhaust opportunities in the market, remember I talked about market. The more the liquid the market is, the rest the opportunities. That's what you ever realize. Money is the most liquid form. So can you buy me? Can I sell a pound for pound? Is that even fathomable? It has reduced the opportunities of us making money, out of the liquidity of money. So the more the liquid a market is, the more the information bridges the gap quite fast. And therefore, it evens up. So once you are done with market opportunities, I call them low-lying fruits. Right now, I can't buy a company off the market. Because, why would I? The ones in the market are so cheap. And I require very little sophistication to buy. If I need to start an insurance company with my little money, why should I start when I have one Kenyari, which is so cheap in terms of value per share, that even the one that will start is still more expensive than this one? Why? If you have money to start a bank in Kenya, why would you have bank? How? At you are going to CBK to Kujaza forms, I want to start a bank. How? When you have KCB trading at half the value, I would rather buy 0.5% of KCB. I'm an owner of a bank. I don't need to own 100% of a bank I'm starting today, valued at my money shilling per shilling. Let me go to KCB, buy 0.5% of KCB, but at what price? 50 cents per shilling. Or I go to Equity, I don't need to start a bank, go to Equity Bank, I'll be buying one for 75 cents per shilling. And for every 1 shilling I'm given, I am paying 75 cents. Or, better still, I go and buy Diamond Trust Bank. Why? Its core capital of 100 billion. The current share price, if you bought all of it, is 35% of the entire value. So why would I start a bank? How? Just buy the ones that are there, cheaper, very cheap. What am I trying to emphasize? Markets have undervalued these assets. So it's an opportunity for buyers. You don't need to start anything new. Buy the one that exists. Look at, for example, this issue you're talking about EABL. I don't buy EABL shares, but let us use it as an example. You are here setting up your own EABL, calling it Omwami Brewers Limited. is it? But you have one here trading at half the price. Why can't I own even 1% of this one that is so cheap, other than owning this other one, which I'm paying a shilling per shilling? So when I exhaust the market opportunities, when you exhaust the market opportunities, the listed ones, then you go to the non-listed ones. With your money, munakobaini watu wachache, then by that time, come to Kenya, buy a stake in an unlisted insurance company. Why? Because by that time, the tide will have changed. The one in the market will have absorbed all the information, so they'll be more expensive. So you go to private equity where you can negotiate. So you go, other than just building flat per flat, this and that, sorry, you munaugana wachache, munachanga pesa, you buy a stake in a company. Buying a stake, buying a shareholding in that microfinance, buying a stake in that IT company, non-listed one. So you give in your money, this grows the business, your value grows. That's how private equity works. Very lastly, this insurance company here, it wants to expand. Let's say they have capital of 50 million Kenya shillings. They need to expand, but they also need more capital to expand. So the owner does what? The owner sells 10% of this diaspora insurance. For how much? 10% he sells it for 10 million shillings. Automatically, that now values diaspora insurance for 100 million. Because if 10% is 10, then 100% is 100. So they expand to many other regions. They are now doing very well. The same diaspora, now the new owners come back. They say, no. We need to expand even to Switzerland. There are diasporans there. We need to set up offices in Kenya. Then you say, in fact, we need a Kenyan license. We need a Kenyan license. So Kenyan license is how much? This much. So what do? You come together. To raise money, what do? You sell a stake. 20%, let's say for, figuratively, 100 million. If you sell a company, 20% stake for 100 million, what does that tell you about the value of the entire company? Is this how much? If 20% is 100 million, so what's the 100% of the company? So 500 million. The owner no longer owns 100%. The owner now owns 40%. But 40% is much higher than the 100% they had. So my challenge is in terms of private equity, don't be in an obsession to own a fish pond. Just own a slice of the ocean. All billionaires, that's how they became billionaires. Not by owning fish ponds, but by owning just a slice of ocean resources. Thank you very much, guys.
That was amazing. Thank you very much. Wow. What a mind-boggling presentation. Thank you very much. You can have a seat. Wow. I feel like I've just been in a investment roller coaster, you know? And some of us have really stagnated in our investment knowledge. And thank you very much, Honorable Ndindi Nyoro, for bringing this education forum for us, because as far as I'm concerned, it has opened a lot of our enthusiasm about what we need to do as Kenyans, but more so seeing ourselves, not just putting all our investment back home, but also thinking about how can we be global investors. Did you feel that? How can we be global investors? So thank you for creating this time, because we know you're an economist, you're an expert. We've seen you in terms of a personal investment. You've done very well. It's all listed in Kenya. And such knowledge doesn't come easily for us in the diaspora. We work hard. We need to know that bit of, educated investor. Wow, I am really inspired. But before we move on to my question, I would love to have you sitting down here. There's 2 ways that you wanna, or 3 ways that you'd like to ask your question. Is it investment in Kenya or investment in general? Is it about Kenya in terms of, you've seen what we've done in education in Kiharu? Is it that? Ask a question. I'm gonna give maybe 3, 4 people to ask question first. Make it very quick, because we'd like to have at least everybody who's sitting there and those online, because we do have some questions coming in online. We would like to give a lot of people opportunities. So let us start with those ones who've already given, put their hands up.
Thank you very much. My name is Moirori Daniel. A few call me by the initials, MD. Member of Parliament, Ndindi Nyoro, thank you very much for such a wonderful presentation. I actually have so many questions, some we can take offline, but for now, maybe just 2, one of them being, in terms of markets, and we are talking about the Nairobi Stock Exchange, we know that part of the markets is driven by what is happening in the government, politics, etc. And given that 2027 is an election year, as someone who's making investment decisions, how do you then overlay the political environment to the investment decisions that you're making? And linked to that is also the point about inflation, foreign exchange, etc. So there are 2 things here. One, on one hand, we are being encouraged to invest in Kenya, which is great, and we are doing that. Number 2, at the same time, we are thinking about, okay, fine, I'm going to invest in Kenya, but lose maybe 9% because of FX rate, another 4% because of inflation. In the end, what is your benchmark net adjusted investment return that you should be thinking about to make such a decision? And then, of course, we the young people are focusing on even much more sophisticated investments like cryptocurrency, commodities, etc., and quite a bit of investment even in land back in Kenya. I sell land in Kenya, and I have a challenge around land because my uncle, when I was in high school about 20 years ago, bought a piece of land at around 20,000 per acre. It's now going for over 2 million. You can work out the adjusted returns, even though unrealized. Now, if you look at your S&P 500, NSE index, your FTSE 100, that is the UK stock exchange, you don't get such returns. So there's also a place for land in the whole investment spectrum. And in summary, the way I look at it is the best investment, first of all, is in yourself. I think you get the best returns by investing in yourself. Then once you're done with that, you think about diversification. So you put a slice of investments in stocks, another slice in land, a slice in private business. So the totality of that is a well-diversified portfolio that then makes sure that, you know, shocks from different areas do not 100% impact your investments. So for now, I'll post at that, but maybe comment about politics versus investment. That's very important. Number 2, talk about the newer investment frontiers like crypto, commodities, etc. And number 3, there's a place for land, to be honest, and we cannot ignore it. Back to you.
Thank you. Give it up for him, guys. And well thought of questions. I do have a hand up here.
Thank you, Janet. Yes, sure, I'll be very, very quick. Thank you, Ndindi Nyoro, for sharing with us the knowledge. My question goes to, first of all, my name is Boniface. I am an entrepreneur here in the UK and also in Kenya. My question goes to the education department, whereby you said 30 plus billions you can propose to have free education, which is a very good step, considering it was an initiative that was started by the late Moi Kibaki. Question is, we know every kit that is set in Kenya, it's a basket for corrupt leaders. How will you handle is there any accountability that you put in place to ensure that money is not lost? 2, you are creating a a good environment for the learners. In the world of technology, are you putting in place the 30 billion plus to have slot for technology, because that's where the world is heading? Thank you, and I welcome you and the rest to buy a stake from my company. Thank you.
That is Django Dwellers.
Thank you very much. My name is Mrs. Monica Gakwo, and I really, really appreciate this time because I'm one of those people who watch you on YouTube, and I really feel like it's just what I've been hearing. So my question is, I am a mother of young people, Gen Z and millennial, and these are people that were born in this country or when they came very, very young. And these are people who are not familiar with this kind of information. And I hear that you're working with young people, and I've watched you in the universities and at such places. So I'm asking you, as a honorable, prominent person from Kenya who is there for young people, how can you support our young people here? Can you create a mentorship program where we can have a few of our young people coming there, they learn and they exchange ideas. You know, they bring the ideas they have learned. Most of them have finished universities, but most of the time they find that they don't do the courses, the jobs that they learned. So how can we bridge that difference, especially for those ones who are from Kenya, but they're actually British people? Thank you very much.
Open the door for work experience. Thank you for that.
Hello again. I think I was given the mic before and I didn't introduce myself. My name is Jane Mukabi. I'm a businesswoman, probably one of the oldest or the only woman to start a security company before the Murashias and Jore there. A comment first or two. I think one is a campaign. I think I want to campaign for UK to be called the top in remittances. When you look at the size of UK, is the size of Texas. We are about 60 to 70 million. The US has 360. So if we are number 2, I think we need to do the maths and start calling the UK the highest remittance wherever. The other one I'd like to comment on is you did talk about us employing Kenyans, which we are doing, but it's a very difficult job. I'm sure Murashia's sites are being manned from Kenya. I have a business in Thika where I'm doing HR from Kenya. We are trying to tap into the technology that's there because we know whether it's AI or anything else, it's all done in Kenya. We are doing that, but it's a very, very difficult thing. And the one thing we would like the government to do is to try and make our people not steal from us. We go to educate them, we earn money, but they still steal from us, and we have to close down and come here. But anyway, the question I brought with me, and I'll still ask, and you have answered a lot of the questions, was, from a selfish point of view, desperate times call for whatever. I'm at the other end. Most of these people are younger than me. They are my students. If I gave you 20 million in terms of portfolio, like the younger, how would you earn me 100 million in 5 years?
Thank you very much. I think I'll give Honorable to answer those 4 questions as other people get ready. Please leave it to the questions only so as we can get more people involved.
I think if you allow, I can answer them from here. Daniel, thank you very much. This is truly a very enriching engagement, even based on the questions. If you look at the graph of shares in Kenya, you'd realize that politics is not necessarily a bad thing for stock performance. Maybe gradually what happens is that Kenya start already providing for that risk early. If you look even during the 2007 to 08, just before, the market was not doing so badly. If you look at 2017, 2021, just a year to elections, last elections, the stock market, some of the share prices were at their highest, including Safaricom. So it's not necessarily that when you have shocks of politics, then you get shocks in the stock market. What I usually see working very closely or interlinked between politics and the economy is actually inflation. And it's obvious. As we near the elections, the government looks at the watch and realizes we need to do more than we've done because people will elect what they are seeing, not what we are saying. So they take up a lot of loans. If you look at the debt accumulation in Kenya, it grows faster just slightly before the election year. Even now, we are in an overdrive of borrowing. Even the money we are selling for Safaricom, we want to use it like a SACCO deposit to borrow times 10 of that. I hope you are getting me. So every time we are nearing election, we spend more. And how does inflation come? When you spend more on commodities that are not backed by production. To put it figuratively, when we all go to demand ugayagano, and it's Christmas time, but the millers never adjusted their production capacity, then we go to queue in a supermarket, we realize that you have 10 ugas, but 20 of us are demanding each one. So what does the supermarket do? They hike the price. That's how inflation works. So you are likely to have a lot of money in circulation now. And you can write somewhere, you'll tell me by the end of this year. Because the government will want to spend as much as possible, but because there is no money available to be spent, they'll borrow more. So borrowing more in fancy terms, either direct borrowing, securitization, in bonds, they'll say it's to pay pending bills, in selling government assets to leverage that more to borrow more, that is likely to happen. So all that is interlinked with inflation. So inflation now, what it does, it reduces the value of your money. Because if inflation goes to 8%, it just means your real money reduces by 8%. There is nominal money and there is real money. Nominal is the one you have in the pocket. Real is what it can buy. The new frontiers. No, benchmark. Yes. No, he talked about now what do we do? If you send money in Kenya, inflation is high, currency reduces the same value. I think that's why I'm always inclined into buying value other than lending my money. Remember, both you are lending money. Fixing money, you are lending money. That's why it becomes a liability. In the books of the bank, your deposit is a liability. So that's why I would rather buy the security firm which is operating. Whether there is inflation, I also charge more. That's how the companies work. If I'm milling Uga, whether inflation goes to 10%, it is actually who is being measured to, who is being looked at in the measurement of inflation, because they are looking at my Uga. Because I would already have raised the price. So I like buying that value more than instruments. And I find buying a company as value more than instruments. Crypto. Let me not speak on a subject I have no knowledge on. I don't buy because I don't know what I'm buying. Me, I like buying something which is self-explanatory and which I understand. Commodities. You may have seen the current run in commodities prices, gold, silver especially. What was making these things go up? It is that issue I told you about Fed. Trump tariffs at the start of the 2025, but more importantly, meddling on Fed is making the market feel jitters. That if you are holding the dollar, so a politician can wake up one day and do something about this dollar. So what are the markets doing? They are going into commodities. You remember before Nixon in the US, before President Nixon, every greenback dollar used to be backed by an equivalent of gold. Every time you could hold a dollar, that dollar you could go to any bank and you are given an equivalent of gold. That is called a currency, a gold-backed currency. Is a commodity-backed currency. A coin of silver used to be the worth of that silver. I hope you get that. Then after Nixon, money became what is called fiat money. Fiat money is, just tell me, what's this? You know, sometimes I wonder, just remove your, what's this now? At 10 pounds. So what is this? What is it? So money became something called value in use versus value in exchange. What does that, this water I'm taking, the value of water is in use. I've used it. Value of this is in exchange. Even if I have 10 sacks of this British pound in my home and I have no water to drink, what is more useful for you at that particular time? That is how fiat money now came in. So I'm interlinking that issue of commodities. All the time, commodities are a reflection of what the currency is doing. When the people lose faith, even in Kenya, when people start losing faith in Kenya shillings, they later buy the greenback because we believe it's backed up somewhere by a superpower. But the real person will say, let me hold gold. I can touch it and see it. And the value is here. If inflation goes up, my also gold goes up. That's the issue of commodity. Issue of adjusted return, again, I go back to value. I like investing money in something that can grow and I can hold. I can hold a company. I can say I have one share of KCB, not DOE. This is KCB. But if you tell me buy one crypto, forgive my traditional thinking, until when I'll be sure this is what I'm buying. Like now I saw it has gone down by half. Then I'm wondering what has gone down by half. Because if it's KCB, they report lower profit, then I can tell it's because they reported lower profit. Now this one I don't know what to describe. But maybe, you know, it's traditional, eh? So as I go to the Boniface, pre-basic education, remember the 30 billion is additional money needed. There is already funding for education. So a technology for education goes into that other funding that is already appropriated through CDF. When I say we take 10 billion from CDF, there is still some other 48 billion shillings remaining. So that money is to build laboratories. We have done that. But investment in education is never enough. So you keep on doing it. So that's around tech in schools. How to make that sure that money is not lost, the 30 billion. My proposal is, once we raise this 30 billion, on the onset, Kenya, project hazinyongwi kwa pesa kupotea sana, ni pesa kukosa. So you can have something written, we have allocated 30 billion in day schools, but it will never reach schools. It's called exchequer. So my proposal is, once we put in this 30 billion as the secondary school fund, it becomes something called fast charge. That when the government corrects revenue, fast charge means, what do you do first? We put this fund as category number 1. That before I am paid my salary, this money is already in schools first. And we put it as a law. Madam Monica, thank you very much. You see, I was available here on 1 day notice. If those young men are available, I can be available at hours notice, given they are younger. And don't feel like it's a bother. It's something I enjoy doing. Even us, we have been shaped by other people. And one thing you have to know, knowledge becomes stale when you don't use it. As I'm speaking to you, I'm also speaking to myself. So I keep on refining my knowledge. And what you don't know is that knowledge I refine also helps me make money. I've told you the investments I'm talking about, NSC, I kept telling all my friends around me for the last like 18 months back, nunueni Kenya Power. At some point, I met some of my sisters. I told them, nunueni Kenya Power shares, mwenye ataenda hasara nitarudisha. That time it was below 2 shillings. We are not talking about a decade ago. We are talking about year 2024, last quarter. That year today is over 15.5. So anyone who put in 2 million shillings bought 1 million shares for 2 million shillings. How much is that 1 million share worth today? No, 15 million. But this is the beauty. And I'm saying it with all humility and good faith. The shares of Kenya Power I bought that time, my average buying price was 1.8 shillings. I've actually recovered all my money in dividends alone. Some of the dividend actually came in before I came here, that year of January. So January was not so bad. So all the money I spent in buying the shares, I've recovered all of it in dividends alone. So my capital gains is starting from 0. So when I talk about shares, I'm not talking about theories. It's something I do and is part of the research I do. Out of now, when these young men will be inviting me, remember now I have to study crypto, which I don't know. So when you gain more knowledge, you gain more versatility. Madam Jane. Integrity on Kenyans. You know me, I'm a politician. Me, I can't speak anything bad about Kenyans. Even those who you leave at your companies at home, and there are integrity issues. So I mean, because especially I can't talk about that when Kenyans are good people. So let me answer the second one instead. If you give me 20 million today, and I don't know how, I'm not a paragon of knowing everything. You're sharing opinions. I'll choose between, I'll segregate my money. I'll actually put all of it in shares. Let's start there. So it's about now about which ones. I would add the same Kenya Power I have, I would add some. I would actually add 500,000 of Kenya Power. The rest, I would split. I'd buy a few of a company called Kenyan, a few. And I'll buy 2 banks. I would buy Equity and Diamond Trust Bank. Those are the ones I would buy.
Wow. Thank you very much. We have somebody online who's saying, this is Maruku John is asking, since you're advocating investment in banking sector, what happens to the investor when the government decide to give them a haircut, since we are borrowing a lot? That is the first one from online. And there's a group of ladies online who are asking, if they have some money kept aside today, they're a group of Chama, what would you advise them to put their money in Kenya right now? That is 2 questions from online. Lucy?
Thank you so much for your insights. My one is probably the same thing, but I wanted to ask, you spoke about transitioning the diaspora money from remittances to small-scale FDI. So if someone wanted to start that shift today, what would be the safest first entry you would recommend? And secondly, you also emphasized that every asset class has its timing. So what 2 or 3 signals would you personally watch when deciding whether time to shift between the asset classes?
Thank you very much for also being brief, so as we can give a lot more people opportunities.
Hi everyone. My name is Wanja Goge, and I'm a nurse by profession, and hence I have to emphasize that. So, having been in a diaspora for close to 40 years, I have zero education of Kenyan. And you've talked about the education in Kiharu, and I emphasize the 30 billion. And my question is, as an advocate of skills transfer back to Kenya, and also as a healthcare worker who would want very much to be involved in the initiatives happening in Kenya, do you have any of such initiatives in Kiharu where we, the healthcare workers, or any other, anybody else who is interested in skills transfer can actually use their skills, or even better, maybe even in the investments, and as we are talking, investing in the healthcare industry, investing in the healthcare training, healthcare, whatever it is, healthcare. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That actually follows somebody from Njehu Gishini from Coventry. He was one of the leaders in Coventry who did not make it. It follow up what she's talking about. What opportunities are there for diaspora investors in Kiharu, and what incentives would you offer diaspora investors? So that's a follow up from that one.
Thank you for the information that you've given us. I think it's very, very helpful to us. Now, I just want to ask a question about domestic borrowing by the government and the extent to which that affects the industries domestically, and would that also affect the opportunities that we would have, because most of those industries in Kenya depends on the domestic people who are investing there or using their services there as well. And when people cannot access finance in terms of credit facilities, it means they can also not invest in some of those industries. Is that going to strain the growth of those industries, and the government continues to borrow domestically? It crowds out the private investment, and I believe that would also affect some of these industries we're talking about, including probably the performance of those institutions we're talking about. We can invest in terms of shares. During Kibaki's time, when he came into power, we were talking about the burgeoning of the middle class, and that drove the growth in the real estate, because people could access money, they were having income, they could, where are we heading in terms of that industry today? Because the middle class probably is strained because of the circumstances in the country at the moment. That aside, finally, because about technology and adoption of technology in education, we spend billions of money, probably over 5 billion every year, printing paper books. And those books, for those of us who fed children in education in Kenya, it just goes to waste. Should we leverage on technology, we can save a lot of money in terms of printing books. Here in the UK, in the schools that I have worked in, I don't see children buying textbooks. Schools and teachers have what we call shared planning. They don't need to buy books. Parents don't spend a lot of money on those books. Government doesn't have to print and spend 5.6 billion every year to do that. if we do that based on technology, it would be probably a one-off investment, and we don't have to spend that money every other year. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We only can have 2 more because of time.
So thank you so much, Honorable, for the presentation. So I'll make my questions quick. So I believe in what my brother said. Diversification it's been proven over time. It's a very good way to basically invest. And in the words of Warren Buffett, it says, price is what you pay, value is what you get. So my question is this. With what we are seeing currently in Kenya, there is, according to me, high market confidence in our companies. And you can see that in the private deals that are happening, ABL, NCBA, what else? Even Safaricom. I know you have reservations about that. But my question would be this. So we are seeing this activity in private deals where people are paying a premium. So there is some sort of information, I don't know how to put it, but there are some sort of markers that in this private conversation or in these boardrooms, people are able to see. So my question is, why does the current NSC market, or why doesn't the Kenyan market, why aren't we able to unlock that value in our markets? Why are we having our companies undervalued? That's my first question. My second question is, I think you answered something, but I just want you to expound on it. So someone asked, which stocks or how can someone make money? And you gave 3 examples. My question would be, in NSC or in basically the sectors that we have in NSC, what drivers of growth are there? What product offerings are there? Are there any macroeconomic indicators that we can see in future that can lead to actually say, like, let's say, for example, a certain sector is going to perform better in the preceding year, some will underperform? Because I think over the past 5 years, the banking sector has been performing well, and one of the reasons is, government borrowings, even though private sector credit is basically, we're having issues there, but because of what's happening in the government, we've had good growth in the banking sector. So I just wanted to understand what drivers of growth are there, such that if someone is investing in stocks today, as maybe someone will be driven to do that, what markers of growth are there for that to happen? Thank you.
Thank you very much. I don't think we have enough time, and standing next to you, we don't have enough time.
Okay, my name is Onesmus, and I came here from Reading with my friend here. But my question is, in the long run, because all debt must be guaranteed, in the long run, what is Kenya standing to lose?
That's a good question and a fast one. I know you want your hand was up a long time.
Thank you so much for that great presentation. My name is Emma. I am in the travel industry. And my question is, Kenya being a very successful travel destination, especially from the diaspora, where would you say is an opportunity for the diaspora to invest, and what are some of the challenges you think that we would face, and how would that be mitigated?
Thank you very much, because we have to be finishing at 10 o'clock, so that is why we have to cut it there. And I know a lot of you had your hands up. Apologies.
Thank you very much. Daniel, there's a question I never answered about real estate. Talk about your uncle bought a land at 20,000, then you sold in millions later. That's a story that every person in this hall who bought land prior to 2010 has, including myself. Investments have periods and errors. That was the era then. You see the way we used to have coffee booms? You can't ask a coffee boom now. It happened. So even real estate, the boom happened. And what happened across the world is that we had also entrepreneurs who saw the opportunity. You know what was driving land prices to go up in Kenya? Towns were burgeoning, were growing. But the supply of land was stagnant. What makes supply of land be the way it is? It is regulations. So other people saw opportunities. When we knew Nairobi has added at Kasarani and Kawasukari, Nairobi now is up to Juja Farm. Nairobi now is up to Salama, Thika, is on your way to Mwingi. Yes. So that supply balanced up the demand. That's why we are not likely to get that boom anytime soon. That I can guarantee you. Because what happened is the expansion of the city in terms of land. The city became elastic. The way we had been told it is inelastic, land never, land hayogezeki. No, this land now became elastic. People started buying farms, katakataing plots. That story now was for Yuanko, not you. Yeah. Ah, very good. That's a very good thing. Now, going to the new ones. I believe I had answered. Forgive me, my handwriting, even me, I have a problem reading it. I ended up with where you put your money, or the 20 million. The issue of banks. And I'll answer with somebody else who asked about sector. I buy local banks, not the ones that are. I don't buy ABSA, Stanchart, Stanbic. Why? Because Stanbic can't expand out of Kenya. It is Standard Bank of South Africa that will expand out of South Africa. I hope you get me. There's no day ABSA Kenya will expand at its Tanzania. No. It is ABSA in South Africa that will go to Tanzania. So the parent company, you look at where is the parent company domicile. KCB, Equity, Co-op, DTB, INM, they are all domiciled in Kenya. So when they are domiciled in Kenya, they can expand geographically beyond Kenya, and the gains from those expanding markets will come to the bottom line in Kenya. Equity DRC is a money printing machine for Equity Bank. But Mzee with one share of Equity which he bought that years ago, that Mzee is already in Kinshasa making money, figuratively speaking. His one share is making money for him in Kinshasa, in DRC, in Lubumbashi. One share ile yake alinunua 19 hiyo. But the owner of ABSA share in Kenya will only own ABSA Kenya. Whether they cross branch, they start a new one, they do this, it is still geographically in Kenya. That's why I buy indigenous ones. You'll see also something very peculiar in your analysis, which I enjoy reading. And please, all these things I'm sharing, start doing it for yourself. They are so easy. If you buy even newspaper, ile Business Daily, pale kuna page hapo mwisho inakuwaga na kitabu kubwa. I am sure no one in this hall have ever read it, because it's so boring even to look. You realize one thing. If you go to a column called PE ratio and another one called price to book value of banks, you realize one thing. All the foreign banks, Stanchart, Stanbic, ABSA, they are all trading at a premium. All. Why? Because they pay a lot of dividend. And our market has been dividend driven for the recent years. The current investor in the NSC, hata hachoki akili, anachukuaga dividend times 10, ana-assign price ya share. Most of the shares in our NSC, before this bull run, has been dividend times 10. No end of story. So people don't want to hear a story of growth. When you tell investors growth, they tell you, no, growth will come when you grow. So that's why you see the foreign banks are highly priced, because investors don't want to remain for a long haul. They want, how much are you paying dividend? 10. So the share should be 100 bob. End of story. When you start telling them you are retaining earnings to go to DRC, they tell you, you once you go there will come. Reasoning of the investor. So the local banks, that's why all the local banks, including the bigger ones, they are trading at a discount. The regional ones are trading at a premium. The domestic ones are trading at a discount. Why? They've been retaining earnings. Equity pays 35% of their profit is dividend. 35%. KCB around 25 to 30. Why? When they want to make an acquisition, they use retained earnings. So for me now, I think it comes also with time. I've also now grown to not looking at the share, but looking at where the company is going. So I'm buying now value. I would rather buy a value that is a company that's retaining 100%, but I can see hiyo pesa inaenda to hunt more money than the one that pays me dividend today. And that, I think I've answered many questions around there. Lucy, very, very nice questions. Where do I put my money? For me, this period is the period of stock market, not any other, NSC. When to your own time, I hope you'll get this information. If I had my phone, somebody is having it, I would have read you something. The PE ratios across the world. What's the PE ratio? PE ratio is, if we bought this hotel for 100 million shillings, and we are making net profit of 10 million a year, how long would it take us to recover 100 million? That is what is called PE ratio in jargons. So the PE ratio, for example, in American companies is over 27 on average. But in tech, it's crazy even more. If you check a company like NVIDIA, Tesla has a very high PE ratio, for example, because people are saying like, this company may, because of the technology, it may make a boom somewhere. But anyway, the PE ratio of American companies is like 27. Of all markets that I know of, the least PE ratio you'll get is in NSE, is around 5. If you bought all the Kenyan companies, put them in a basket, the PE ratio is 5. It is even, can you check? PE ratio of Kenya Power is 1.2. Can you believe that? And we are not talking about a startup that may fail tomorrow. We are talking about a monopoly. We are talking about a monopoly with the revenues of over 250 billion Kenya shillings. So you're not talking about a startup trying to make ends meet. No. We are talking about a company with assets of over 400 billion Kenya shillings. That's the kind of a company we are talking about. And the PE ratio is 1 year, 2 months. The PE ratio of Kenyan is 6. But people will ask, but why is Kenya Power undervalued? The same reason. People are looking, how watu wametulipa dividend gapi last year? One shilling. I'm not buying. So people are not interested because of dividend, instant gratification. But Kenyan pays more. Kenyan pays 75% of their revenues as dividends. That's why you see, I hope you are not so tired. You get Kenyan makes a profit of 10B, but the company is valued at 60B. Higher. Kenya Power makes 24B, but the market values it at 30B. That's not even logical, because Kenya Power should be valued more than Kenyan based on profitability. But investors look at, okay, after you make this, how much are you paying us? They realize Kenyan pays 75%. There isn't, last year, Kenya Power paid 8%. Me, I look the other way around. I look at, if Kenyan was to pay the entire 100% dividend, they are only remaining with flexibility of 25%, unless they now borrow to pay us dividend. If they pay us 100% of their bottom line, their only flexibility remaining is 25%. But I look at Kenya Power, they have a flexibility of 92% on sustaining the same dividend, sustaining the same profit, but paying me more. So I look at that. Signs that you need to assess your asset classes. Some are too visible, very visible. For example, let me tell you one thing, so that you see how signs come. For example, the change of any government in the world now, change of any government in the world that is having elections in the next 1.5 years or 2 years across the world, the biggest predicament is not your opposition. The biggest predicament is oil prices. You see, you look at things, then you are able to make judgments in the future. If you are an opposition in a country having elections in the next 2 years, your work can be summarized in one day by one thing called oil prices. Oil prices, for example, per barrel in the year of elections in Kenya last time, it was $95 to $100 per barrel. It's now less than, is now 60% of that. If we have oil prices increasing by only 20% today, that is how a nexus of economy and politics come very low. So I'm coming to this prediction. So that any decision you're making now, don't think you're making a decision on what you see on the table. Make decisions on what could happen. So for me, number one thing is interest rates. All the time. You see now, the world is doing what is called monetary easing. Look at 2007, 2008. The US, what did it do? Monetary easing up to zero. Why? Everything had crashed, including stock market. Remember now, this time of monetary easing is not based on stimulating the economy. The economy of the US is not doing badly. It's not. The current monetary easing is based on debt management. All economies are lowering interest rates to manage debt. They are not doing monetary easing to stimulate the economy. So all the time you are doing monetary easing for any other purpose other than stimulating the economy. As sure as it is today, Monday, monetary easing brings inflation. Or just check by end of this year and early next year, the entire world will now be raising interest rates to arrest rising inflation. So those are the signals I look at. The tendency of Trump now, he wants to be the best president ever, so lower rates. At what cost? Wait. At the cost of inflation. Kenya is doing monetary easing for what? It's debt management. Debt, purely, the consideration of Central Bank of Kenya is one, debt management in lowering rates. So those are some of the signals. So you are able to check. Stock market, you can already tell if the PE ratios are too high across the world, something may happen. You may get global markets going low while emerging ones going high. That usually happens at some point. Where the PE ratios are too high in developed economies, so the stock market starts coming down. But people don't move out of the stock market. They only move the geography in the stock market. So they go to where the companies are cheap. And that is why for me now, even if the share price, even if I bought equities today and the share price goes down by half, I'll still sleep the same way. Because I was not buying the share price. I was buying the value of the bank. Wadia? Oh, sorry, Madam Waja. Oh, sorry. I told you my handwriting. Imagine I can't read it. You don't look like you've been there. How 40 years? unless you came when you were born. I think you guys, when you come here, you look very young. At 60, why are you taking your neighbor's ears to add on to yours? You don't look. The issue on education and skill transfer, allow me to answer that together with the one for Jehu, yes. I'll be plain honest. An MP, in terms of being an MP for Kiharu, unless you want to waste other people's time, you can't talk about making your constituency a good investment destination. Those things are done through an overarching national policy. And that's why you see even in the county level, governors try to come with those policies at the county level. In the economics, it's called taxonomy. A taxonomy, you see like a borough. Yeah, you call them boroughs. The ones I am seeing, we may divide the land and Marakada. Boroughs, eh? Yeah, tuite hiyo sasa. Sasa, mtu amechaguliwa ati, you tell my brother here, now we want you to make your area a very good investment destination. You are wasting his time. It's not possible. Those things, South Korea, China, here UK, those are done through overarching national policies. Why? You are not investing, you are not making an investment policy for somebody to come and set up a small farm. You are calling up a sector. So you are calling outside the money. When an investor in the UK, just imagine you are one. You are already biased, you are Kenyan. But remember, the global capital has no eyes and has no sentiments. The global capital is rational. You know, this issue of sentimentalism are irrational. I hope you understand that. Hey, I want to do this for my country. Patriotism, keen selection, that is your blood relation, reciprocal altruism, somebody did this and you are returning a favor. All those are irrational behaviors, economically speaking. So, global capital is rational. The rationality is at where am I getting the highest real gains? Real gain is after adjusting for inflation, adjusting for currency depreciation. Where am I getting real return? So those rational decisions, they have no eyes. They just go to where it makes sense. And they make sense when the taxonomy is larger. That's why even an investor here, you tell them, okay, there's a bank called KCB. Come and buy it, a stake. You are now telling who? HSBC UK. You are telling Goldman Sachs. You are telling JP Morgan. There's a bank called KCB, and you even twang. Then how much is it? Do you know how much KCB is in terms of market cap? It is less than $2 billion US. The entire bank. So capital flow will go to where the policies are good, but the taxonomy must be large enough to make sense. So that's why there is what I can do as MP in the National Assembly, but there is very limitation on what a governor can do and what an MP can do in their own area. It is too small for any regional investor to move their money from Ukraine just because they have been promised a piece of land to set up an overarching national Wamwere. Now, I agree with you on crowding out. You may have read somewhere, Kenya is now moving from foreign debt to domestic. But because politicians have to package anything as heroism, do you know what you'll be told very soon? We are no longer going to borrow money from anyone. We'll borrow from our own internal resources. You are likely to hear those stories very soon. But dig for the reason. This is the reason. Just tell me, how can a rational borrower leave IMF money borrowing at 3% and come to the market and to borrow at 10%. Is it possible? So this is the reason. IMF will tell you, before I give you money, I need to see the box number of your grandfather. I need you to show me your lad, the one you were given by your grandfather. You realize, I don't have the box number, I don't have the title. So forget about these fellows. I don't want them. That is in micro level. In the national level, they'll tell you, okay, we'll give you our money, but we need to be sure you are going to give us back our money. And the best way is to show that you are actually stable enough to give us back our money. So what do we need to do? Do this change, do this structural change, do this other one, then you tell them you can take a walk. So you come to Kenya and say, Kenya, we have to be proud of ourselves. We are going to borrow the money from internal domestic resources, but you are borrowing it 300% higher than IMF. You end up doing what? The money that Lucy was to borrow, to scale this times 10, he goes to his bank, the manager lowers the spectacle, anamuuliza unikusaidia namna gani? Nataka pesa. Hatuna. Because you are a regional manager. Government, in our traditional sense where we know it will always pay, is borrowing, is taking our money through T-bills and bonds and direct borrowing. Now they are doing even direct borrowing called securitization. They are doing it at 10%, and you are here for me to lend my money? No, take a walk. So you crowd out the people who should have the money. So you shrink the economy, because money is the one that makes the economy expand. And the economy does not expand by public spending. At some point, public spending comes to substitute private spending. At that point, there is no growth. Take, for example, the housing. Housing levy is taxed through Kenyans, from Kenyans, 73 billion. But forget about this year. Look at the year 2024. Construction sector shrank. So it has gone up last year. As sure as the river goes down, it has to come up. So it has gone down in 2024. So it's coming up now. So in other words, we transferred the money that you used to build your own house into government doing it. That transfer does not necessarily mean growth. It means transfer. Lastly, Apindi Ian. Diversification is good, yes. But when? That's the critical question. If you tell me to diversify by buying a plot and another, I will not do that now. Even the Warren Buffett you quoted, this is what he says. Diversification is for people who don't know what they are doing. Himself, not me. He says, if your best food is a chicken burger, then what are you doing with the mutton burger that you are diversifying now? You already know your best food is chicken burger. But you also want a chicken nugget and fish. I'm not against diversification, Ian. All I'm saying, over expanding the horizon makes it zero sum. You go invest in KQ, but you also invest in Kenya Power. All the gains from here are netted by this other one. It becomes zero sum. If you do proper analysis and you grade your investment from number 1 to 30, that's what Warren Buffett actually says. Number 1, he says this company. Number 2, this, up to number 29, 30. This is what he asks. If you have graded your investments from number 1 to 30, what are you doing with number 25? What are you doing? Why are you looking at number 25? You already have a list of 30. Why can't you concentrate with the first number 1, 2, up to 5? Because unless you doubt you had done the right analysis. So that's how diversification for me, up to some length, like let's say shares, I don't advocate for buying more than 4 shares, 4 listed counters. Because you overdo it, it becomes zero sum. The gain here is netted by the loss here. So pale chini ni zero. Onesimus, Kenya and debt in the long run. As sure as we are in February, guys, Kenya has to change course when it comes to national debt. We can't run away. And somebody also asked online, then what are you saying about investing in banks? And on this side, you're talking about a proper haircut. That's what it is. Even the talk I'm giving today is not certain. It is relative to the information we all have. So I am saying banks make a good investment decision for me, but there is a risk. If there is any rearrangement, you know, when government wants to run away from debt, they come up with names. They don't say default. They say adjustments. They say renegotiations. Renegotiation simply means they are telling you, we are not going to pay you. I know you hold a 10-year bond, but you're going to push you 2 years ahead. So in the next 2 years, we will not pay. We will pay you in a hapo bere. In a nutshell, what I'm saying to the bank, that the bottom line, you provide for loss of revenue for the next 2 years. Are you getting? Because as a bank in accounting, you can't say, oh, government ilisema, our board was to expire in the year 2030. They said we take up to 2032. In the meantime, they not pay us these 2 years. Can you draw the profit of 2022 and bring it now? Even in your own personal investments, it means you take a hit. So even banks in Kenya, they are heavily exposed to government instruments. Definitely, if there is a reset in debt, the first casualties, as they have been beneficiaries, will be banks, insurance companies, NSSF, and other mutual funds. Otherwise, Emma, wa mwisho, travel, not in bad faith, but I need more time to learn about business and travel so that I give you a well-considered opinion. Otherwise, it has been my pleasure speaking before you. I wish you all the best. May God bless all your investments. And I know you can get my number from anyone here. Feel free to chat. You can get my number from anyone. I may not say it because we are live, but you can get it and chat me and be sure I'll chat back. Thank you very much. May God bless you.
Thank you, thank you. Thank you very much. Wow. Have you been inspired? You know, you can have a seat as we finish. Vote of thanks. I've been inspired. Iconic leader here. The one thing I've read from you, you're very passionate about educating people on investment. Today you had all opportunities to go political, but you didn't divert your attention. Give a hand clap again. Because normally we see politicians coming here with agendas, but today your agenda was to educate us in the diaspora how we can invest in ourselves and make our money work for us, and also how we can support Kenya rationally without breaking our backs with the black tax, we call it here, but knowing carefully how to put our money. We do have a lot of other people online who are really engaging, and I will buy on that one because I've been one person, after being an educator for over 30 years in the United Kingdom, I teach a train, I do instructional coaching. So if, like now, Elizabeth Kagede, also an educator, was asking, year 10 student, we've seen Kenya struggling. Have we really trained our teachers very well for that transition? Being in the United Kingdom, before they can put a policy together on education, they do a lot of teacher training, and they do a lot of engagement in schools, just to make sure that happens. So it's a question that we can lead on after these. So what am I saying? Conversations are open with the Honorable N on how we can inspire our young people, because as you had, the need is there. A lot of them are intending to go back to Kenya. So this bit about investment, and they are very well savvy. As you can see, those two gentlemen over there, those are the Gen Z, and you can hear the type of question they're asking. They're very well informed. So from what we are hearing here today is that this forum is actually open. Are you available online if this conversation wants to be continued. Yeah? So, thank you very much. So, I was honored today to be the moderator, and I hope I did a good job. I'm going to be requesting Councillor Njore to give a vote of thanks. And before he can, Beulah did introduce Beulah Modoni Foundation. She's doing a lot of things in Murang'a, so it would be very nice if she can share after this her, the foundation number, so that at least if you have something you can support her on her work as an upcoming young women rep, not just for the political bit, but also for the philanthropy she's doing in Murang'a. Let us support her. Yeah. And there was a lot going on. There's a Beulah Modoni Foundation. Of course, I remember that. And to the service providers, UCAN TV, thank you very much. Thank you for your media there. It is always nice to have these services from our community. Bless you.
Asante sana, Janet, you've done an amazing job. Asante sana. Mimi sasa nitakuita mwalimu. Sasa nitaweka mheshimiwa kando kidogo, nikuite mwalimu. Si tumefundishwa vizuri hapa leo bwana. Tumpigie makofi ya kilo mzuri kabisa. Ai, mwalimu. Asante sana. Asante sana. We are very grateful for that time that you've taken to download, because you've truly downloaded today. And we are very grateful. One of the things that I will put back to you is that, you see, all these people who are sat here diligently listening to you, they are soaking in a lot of information. But equally, they have a lot of information to give. And these people, we should start thinking of think tanks, because there's a lot of different ways of thinking here that we can put together. Small little clubs here that can really change policy, not only in Kiharu, but in wider Kenya. Because I've heard you saying that you want Kiharu to be the place, the laboratory for Kenya. Asante sana. Siji mutakuwa think tank members, unasikia? Wote wamekubali. Thank you very much. Mimi kama mnavyosikia, mimi ni mwanasiasa. Naweza toa uteti pia. Lakini for today nitasimamia hapo, because I know it's quite late. I also run a business as well. Global Operations Telephony Solutions is under Marvel Business Limited. And what we do is solutions for international calling. And I've had some people who are employing in Kenya. So one of the things that we do is we offer international numbers in Kenya so that you look like you're working here in the UK. That way, you can employ people in Kenya to work in your back offices while you're still running your business here. So imagine that person that you're paying quite a bit of money for 1 month. You can employ someone for a few months or even a few people in Kenya for the same amount. So sio haja ati washinde wakikuja hapa wananyimwa visa kila wakati. Sasa hii tunawapatia kazi wakiwa kule, tunawafundisha vile watafanya, tunawafungulia systems, technology iko, wanafanya kazi, wanapiga simu hapa, inaonekana ni kama wanafanyia kazi hapa. Namna gani? Si ndio? So that's the company in Global Operations Telephony Solutions under the company Marvel Business Limited. I also do planting of trees in Kenya. I'm a trustee over 7 years at International Tree Foundation. Tunapanda miti sana kule nyumbani. We are planting over at least 800,000 trees every year. Watu wa Miti was formed over 100 years ago by a Jonjo family. Watu wa Miti International Tree Foundation now. 104 years we've been planting trees, and we're still going. So munaweza enda mtuangalie ITF or International Tree Foundation. Now we are planting trees through also the AFR 100. So AFR 100 is the planting of trees in 100 hectares in Africa, and that has been funded, and ITF has been selected to go and plant trees in the region. So tunafanya hii mambo yote tukiwa tu hapa bado, na tunafanya siasa pia. I'd like to also acknowledge here, I want to start with community leaders. Community leaders do a lot of work in networking these Kenyans, bringing them together. Even for Beulah to be able to get this community here, I'm sure she has called upon quite a few community leaders to rally. So I want to say a big thank you to the community leaders who are here. We have one, even was not mentioned, we have one of our volunteers here from the 90s Together. 90s Together is a group that we normally sit down once a year to do a dinner. And we like visitors like you to come. Black tie. Wakati huo utanunua suti. Kama hukuambiwa hii wakati ununua suti, wakati huo itabidi ununue suti because it's a black tie dinner. And then we like people like you to come and also inspire our punters and our attendees and our members. Asante sana, but I'll give you the dates. Najua that lady there is rooting for the dates as well. So tutaongea juu ya hiyo. So community leaders, thank you very much. Particularly West London leaders and Slough leaders, kwa sababu uko kwa mtaa yetu. So tunashukuru sana those leaders. I'm sure you have helped also to rally some of the numbers here. Media team, you have mentioned media team. We certainly cannot do without spreading this word. And the people that do this are the likes of JT and Ken hapa wanatufanyia kazi mzuri. Asanteni sana for honoring this invite. I want to not forget our sponsors that spoke here. Champion Homes, Diaspora Insurance, Bricks Security, Cornerstone, Marvel Business Limited also, we were sponsoring, Bula Modoni Foundation, Santi Sana. So I want to recognize those. And there are other businesses here. I had someone mention Jungle Dwellers who is here as well. Asanteni sana kwa yale yote mnafanya. I also want to remember, I cannot forget our pastor. Reverend Paul Nganga, who alitufungulia na maombi na najua labda ndio atatumalizia. He is my pastor as well in Slough. We worship in a church called Oasis of Life, Hotisim in Slough. And our bishop is yours truly, His Excellency, Ambassador Joseph Waroe is our bishop. And he was with us last week, not this Sunday, gone, the Sunday before, for a Thanksgiving service where he was giving thanks for yet another politician in Oasis. Well, not a politician, a public servant, because we are public servants before we are politicians. So he was there to give thanks for adding another public servant in the church. I also want to say thank you to Premier Inn, who offered us this venue today. I don't know whether we have any of their members here, but for allowing us. And I'm sure sisi wa Kenya, sijui kama tumepitisha masaa, imagine na hawajakuja kutupingia kengele pale. We must say absolute thank you. Na pia kama you want to network with mheshimiwa here, you can meet at the foyer there, and I'm sure they have a place where you can do something with the throats. Uji na chai, uji na chai, yes, that is a very honorable and reasonable man there, uji na chai. And I don't know whether I have forgotten anyone else. The only other people I want to say a huge thank you to are you people. You who are sat here up to this hour, 22:19, for those who are watching, it is 22:19 at this moment, and these people will have to catch trains to go far. Asanteni sana. It is a true honor to have you here, to listen to our mheshimiwa, and to even watch us, like someone like me, talking to you, and asanteni sana. To also the ones who are watching online, we cannot forget you. Asanteni sana for taking the time, spending that time away from family, children, to watch mheshimiwa download this knowledge to us. And finally, to the ones who will watch this video after today, so we have to thank those ones too. So wajue walipatiwa asanti. Asanteni sana.
Wow. Now, let's say, you know what, Honorable Ndindi Nyoro, I would say you're the face of Kenya. Here we have felt it? Can I also say that you're a young person? I've looked on, you're very young, but we are looking for a young president in Kenya. In the future, I will say it. Sindio, I know he's not asking us to say that, no, but none of you told me, but Kenya, we want brains to work the way you've brought your presentation here today. So please, God thinking, Diaspora would be ready to support when I decide I'm ready to go for presidency. Thank you very much. And I'm going to give Pastor, Reverend, for vote of thanks after this. You can get ready for this. Oh no, I have prayers. Get ready.
Wow, wonderful. That's great, isn't it? That was mind-changing, mind-boggling, and I believe we are even here as different people all together. And can we give it one more time to to our Honorable Ndindi Nyoro? God bless you so much indeed. And also for our Honorable Biora Modoni for organizing this, putting us together to come for this. We appreciate that, and we bless God for that. Shall we raise up on our feet at least to touch a little bit? Wonderful. Thank you. Let's give thanks. Heavenly Father, in the name of the Lord, we once again want to thank you. We prayed as we began this meeting that you be together with us, and we prayed that you challenge us in our minds and you teach us, and so you have done through our Mheshimiwa Ndindi Nyoro, and we want to thank you for each and everything that has been said tonight. I pray that you are going to put in practice, our Father, and that you are going to help us, dear Lord, to do what is necessary in the name of the Lord, to change our lives and to change our nation, to change our society in the name of the Lord. We pray that, King of all the glory, at time like this, Jehovah Master, we will be looking different people all together in the name of Jesus Christ, our Father. We thank you for Mheshimiwa, even as he stays here, as he goes back in Kenya, dear Lord. I pray that you are going to see him through in all his political areas, our Father. Whatever he's doing in the nation, Lord, even in his constituency, I pray that your hand shall remain upon him in the name of the Lord, our Father. Oh God, we thank you, and it is in Jesus' name we pray and we believe. Amen. Amen.
Thank you so
much. Like
much.
and comment your biggest takeaway, share with someone who needs this age, and subscribe for more North Lath investing breakdowns.